Okay. Okay, we are going live. We are going to start soon. Oh, hi, Dr. Olu. Thank you so much for joining. Hi, everybody. Pramod. Thank you. Right. So, I'm just going to give few minutes, let people join while I invite. Okay. Um, just 1 second. We have started, people. Right, just a moment. Do you know it's so sad because I actually forgot to what's the name now? I forgot to create the space. I know I shared the announcement for days and I didn't even remember that I've actually not created the actual space itself. So I do hope people join because this is now almost lastminute.com that I had to do. So sad. I was like, how did I made the announcement days ago. How did I not create this space ahead of time? But yeah, so I just want to first of all thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you all as you're coming in. Thank you. So today we are being joined by he's my boss. That's just it. My boss, Dr. Pramod. He's in Beaumont University. He's published, well published. And so we just thought, why not just have this all important conversation around publication and publishing, especially for those that are thinking of grad school, you're already in grad school or you're hoping to get to grad school. What are the things that you should consider to publish articles as a graduate or grad school student or applicant, as the case may be? So we're going to go through some elements of publishing. What is publication in itself? Why is it important to you? Who can publish? How can you publish? And the different things that you need to be aware of as you go on your journey. Also, just to mention that, especially for those that are thinking of applying for scholarship for funding, publication is really essential. Obviously, it's not compulsory, so you could actually get funding without publication. But guess what? When you have it, it would actually increase your chances. It is better for you to have published article or published material, whatever the case may be. So I think that's why we are here to talk about, especially maybe for those that are not like, they are like, oh my God, publication is this foreign thing. I don't know where to start. Someone is like, I don't even know where to start. So this is why we're doing, or we're hopefully going to be addressing some of these things, and that would help you decide or help you know what is publication. It's not just academics that publish. You can also publish. So long as you're in an institution, you can actually publish something, and that's why we have created this session. So thank you so very much for joining. Really appreciate it. So Dr. Pramod and Dr. Olu, would you mind if I just give you the floor for a minute to just open up?
Thank you for inviting me. I wasn't very comfortable when you say it both to me. Actually, we're colleagues, and I think we started Bournemouth University at the same time. I mean, actually, when I was doing my postdoc, you were doing PhD, and then we tried to do some publication, although you were not my student. So we still try to work together, and then we still try to publish together. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I think this forum is really important for all of us. I can see there are a couple of colleagues who are probably the graduate student, or we have also very experienced, the colleagues who have published hundreds of paper. So I think let's start. I mean, why we need to write a paper, or why should we bother publications? There are a couple of things. Probably I will start with, as a researcher, it's our duty to share some of our publications or some of our findings to wider researcher or wider community, because it helps to impact and it helps to change practice. So sharing our views on a public platform can cause others to reflect and develop and grow. So I come from a very low income country like Nepal, and where when I did my masters, for example, we never published that something a bit. That means other people might have done the same research again and again. So if I had published something, then people, oh, this was done by Pramod already, so I need to do something else. So that's that other thing. And sometimes we also like to publish to say the importance of a topic. For example, when we write the grants, that we always need to justify the why we try to do that project. So that means you already write a certain page, three, 4 pages to justify the your project. That can be a nice editorial. So that means we don't need to have a data to write a paper. So sometimes you can write editorials, opinions, viewpoints. So that means that can be another publications in your CV. And as I said to you previously, again, it's a duty of our research to inform or to practice effectively. So sometime there is also a fund requirement. So when you write a proposal and you say, okay, at the end, we really want to publish a paper to XYZ journal, and that means the funders sometimes, or most of the cases, they allocate some money for you to make your paper open access. So that's another requirement or another reason we publish. And as a researcher, as a novice researcher, and we really want to publish to build our CV or to make our CV very competitive, because that in today's world, people tend to write a lot, and then just to make your CV a little bit more attractive, I think if you have a couple of publications, then that really helpful. And in some cases, obviously, there are academic requirement. So if you do your publication, PhD by publications, then obviously you need to write a couple of papers, at least 3 papers, to pass your PhD. There are so many reasons, and I don't think we can capture all of them now. So I think maybe all we can add on that. If I have missed something in here.
Yes, doc. Thank you so much, Dr. Pramod. Dr. Olu, would you like to add on to Dr. Pramod's take on why we need to publish?
Yes. Good day, everyone. It's afternoon right now in Cape Town, South Africa. Please let me see. Can you hear me clearly, please? Oh, great. Okay, great. All right. I think this is a very interesting, very important, very relevant topic, and for me, one of the reasons is because we live in the society now where knowledge is very precious, where knowledge is very important, where knowledge is very crucial. And within the sphere of academics, especially if you are a postgrad student, you also want to make your mark. You want to show that you have something to contribute to the society in the form of knowledge capacity. And this is one of the reasons why publication is very good. It also gives you an opportunity to improve and develop your writing skills. It gives you an opportunity to be able to communicate to the scholarly community. It gives you an opportunity to showcase that indeed your research is relevant to the society at large. It's solving a problem, and you're coming up with some workable solutions within the context of the research that you have successfully conducted. So I don't, and this is just a kind of word of encouragement that as a postgrad student, I don't see publication as as a task that cannot be achieved, or that a task that is so insurmountable. Because I mean, if you're thinking of the fact that you're writing a research proposal, if you're thinking of the fact that you're going to write a thesis, then it's just the same, extension in terms of writing now that you take into publication. And I don't want to jump the gun here by going into some specific details, which I think we will get to in the course of this space. So again, my key take home point here is that publication is a very good thing. It puts you in a very good position. If you think of it this way, that even if your thesis is not by publication, but if you manage to push out some publications, or attend conferences, do oral presentation or abstract presentation, and those things are captured in form of output from your thesis or in your thesis, any examiner that sees that will say, that's so. When you look at some of the inherent advantages of doing this, it's just a lot. It speaks for you when and where you are not there, to see that okay, indeed this person is an emerging scholar, or is able to communicate his research findings effectively to a targeted audience. Yes, so there's just a lot of promises around it. But I will yield the mic right now. Thank you so very much. This is Olu, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olu. Absolutely. I mean, the element, this is why we have this space, is to talk about how you don't see yourself as, I can't be a published author, because that's something that I think many people struggle with. They think it's not just something I can do, it's beyond me, but it's not. It's anybody, and I think everybody can publish. If you have something to say, I mean, you're writing research proposal for your grad school application, that alone is enough to be published. I think I was saying it, Dr. Olu, in your space yesterday, about the fact that my PhD students, immediately I get on board, I'm like, you have written a research proposal that needs to go out in a publication. It needs to be somewhere for you to have it as, just anchor your PhD to that research proposal. So if you have written a research proposal, it's more than enough to be published in in a journal, or in other places that I believe we'll be getting to, in terms of, there are so many other places that you can publish. So it's not just a peer-reviewed journal, or the likes of that. So thank you so much, Dr. Pramod and Dr. Olu. Dr. Salifu, I've been trying to invite you. I'm not sure if you're not in a space where you could talk, or not, but please, if you can, just join us to have this conversation. So now, can I ask Dr. Pramod, what do you think about types of publication? Like, what are grad school applicants, or individuals that are thinking of, what should they know in terms of the different types of publication that there are, and the different ways? Because, like I said, some people are quite apprehensive about journal and the peer review process, dealing with reviewer one or reviewer two's comment. So what do you think other aspect that they can be aware of to see if they fit better into that space?
Yeah, thank you, Fola. I think yeah, there are a wide range of platforms where we can publish. As I said previously, obviously we all want to publish in a very high impact journal or peer reviewed journal, but sometimes as a starter, I mean, it's not always possible to publish that. But again, as you said previously, I mean, we can always make a small publication out of our PhD proposal or grant writing. So that can go as editorial in most of the journals. And then normally, in most cases, editorials are written by the journal editors, but sometimes they might include your paper as a guest editorial. So you can always ask to the editor whether you can contribute as an editorial in their journal. And however, but in most journals, they have a viewpoint type of the papers in their journals. In some journals, they published as a, for example, commentary. But normally the commentaries are based on the previously published paper. But again, in some journals, they have a prospective types of paper or viewpoint. So we can always write just to inform them that you are trying to do something around that topic. And it's actually a very good idea, because the people start to know you as a emerging, the researcher in that topics. So for example, yeah, recently we wrote a grant applications about kidney health disease about migrants, and before we got the funding, we already published the editorial about this issue, and then people have, oh, this is a very great topic, and then people started to know that, oh, this is being someone is, we need to do this research around that topic. Also, I remember when I did my PhD, and that time I wrote a letter to the editor in one of the national newspapers in Nepal. So that means, yeah, just to you can also write in other type of papers. I mean, I know this is not academic journals, but you can also like to inform the general publics about your work. So also think from that way.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pramod. I think what we need to take away is the fact that you can publish in other places, not just in journal, not just in a peer-reviewed journal. That is nice, and I think we in academia, that's like the aim and what we try and target, because we want to have those. They really help for career progression, promotion, grant application, and so many other aspects in academics. However, especially early career researcher, as you're coming up and you're thinking, okay, maybe I can't really deal with all these reviewers issues for now. What are the things that you can look into? And that's where Dr. Pramod was talking about newspaper article. That is something that many of us don't think about. And I think nowadays, with the way internet and the cyberspace is going, there are other aspects that you can actually use or consider. So for example, where you're looking at the conversation, I think is one really big platform. It has a huge readership, although um, it's not a peer reviewed publication if you put your article into there, but it does help that you have a lot of people that will read your work, that will be familiar sort of to with your name and some of the things that you do. So when you do get into the actual publishing, the process also informs you of little bit of peer review sort of happens within the conversation. And I think the medium is also one that a lot of maybe you as potentially or what's the name now, postgraduate applicants, maybe you can consider putting everyone. I think you guys do projects, right? You do projects in your final year. You can just push that somewhere. Just have a URL, or just have something to attach to your name that you have so some sort of a your view has been projected to the general public. You've shared your opinion about, for example, I mean, a lot of us wrote a lot about COVID. I wrote with Dr. Pramod around COVID at the start. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute this. Okay, yeah. I will get to you. Please, I'm going to mute you. Thank you. I'll get to you in a minute. Also. Why is it on? What is happening?
I'm waiting for you to move. I have a question.
Can I mute you? I will get to you. That's what I said. I will get to you. Sorry. Can I mute you for now?
Yeah, no problem. You can move me.
I can't even see the button. So please mute yourself.
Myself.
Okay, thank you. Right. So yeah, what I was saying about, we will get to questions, please. I just accepted that request because I thought you wanted to add to it. We will definitely get to question, but I just thought there are some things that people might want to know first, and then we'll start picking up questions. So yeah, like I said, medium opinion pieces. I wrote in magazine, and you can write in magazines. Doesn't have to be, you just push your name, and blogs. That is also something, although not academic publication as the case is, but blogs, these are different gray areas that you can explore to push out your work or your opinion about a certain subject in your area, or just anything that you've written and you just want people to see it, aside from just, few people around you, you want to put it for more people to see. Obviously, if you're applying for grad school, I'm going to have to mute you for now. If you are applying
Sorry,
for grad,
I want to contribute when you are done too on that very point. Sorry for taking you. When you
please,
are done,
you're distracting right now, you're distracting me, and I don't know why I can't mute you. I have no idea why. Please, if you want to speak, let's try and be as orderly as possible. Just hands up, I will get to you if I see your hand up. But if I don't, right now, I lose my train of thought. Sorry. Yeah. So I honestly have lost it. I can't remember what I was saying.
Just to add on that, Fola,
Yes, please.
currently there are so many fake journal. I think we should also probably touch on that some point today. If you publish something, then you start getting invitation from probably and not all the journals are fake, but there are so many journals that are fake, and they just try to make money from your publication. So you need to be very careful when you submit your paper. I know most of the decent journals, there is open access, but if we are from the low income countries, then there might be some discount or 100% discount for the authors from low income country. But again, I mean, if you work in a developed countries or high income countries, then even if you are from the LMIC, then that discount, you don't get that discount. So that's the other thing we really need to be aware. So try to see whether these journals are genuine, or they have a very good track in terms of 10 years publication or 5 years. I mean, some good journal houses, I mean, there might be a new journals, but again, you need to be very, very careful in terms of selecting your journals.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Pramod. Yeah, absolutely. I was going to come around predatory journals and those conversations, especially LMIC, what kind of um, expectation for someone that is within LMIC context, what should they expect as well? Thomas, would you mind if I get to you now? Okay, now he's going. Okay. Well, all right. Dr. Olu, is there any add-on to what we've said so far?
Look, the thing is, for me, the whole process of publishing is very interesting, and the reason why I'm saying it's very interesting is you want to leverage on the fact that you have worked hard, and if you want to do that, you also don't want to be in a situation where you shortchange yourself by giving out so much quality to a platform or to a place where your effort will not be adequately appreciated. And I'm pretty sure with as many of the amazing people in the audience, I'm sure there are so many questions that are coming in. Perhaps maybe Dr. Fola, I'm not sure if your DM is open. Perhaps maybe you want to make your DM open so that for people who don't want to come on stage, they might just want to send in questions and all the rest of them. But having said that, I think for me, one of the key important things when it comes to publishing is you have spent so much. You have done a lot of work, brilliant work. You have come up with amazing, very intellectually stimulating kind of findings or results, and you've succeeded in compiling all of this together in a draft document just to show that this is your own contribution to knowledge. And I think that's where the issue for me when it comes to being consciously selective of where you push your work to becomes very important, because you just want to make sure that you go to a place where you are appreciated. And when I say where you are appreciated, I'm talking about the scholarly community. It is not an easy thing. You are trying to break into a group of, maybe a group that is not necessarily so eager to welcome you on board unless you have satisfied all of the conditions, all of the prerequisites. But by and large, it just speaks. It serves as a morale booster for me when you see your work, being out there contributing to knowledge, being cited, being recognized, and all the rest of them. So, my take-home point here is when you're giving so much, when you've given so much to the work, be conscious of how you put it out there, where you put it out there, where efforts will be tremendously appreciated and welcome. And there are so many strategies to go about this. I'm not sure. I think I held the Twitter space on some tips around, preparing a manuscript and all this stuff. For instance, one of them is you must, over time, as you progress in your postgraduate studies, you must be able to identify potential journals that contribute directly into your research area of interest, journals where you can potentially publish your work. And when I say this, I'm not talking about just one journal. You should have maybe a couple of lists of journals. In the case of South Africa, for instance, where I'm based, the Department of Higher Education, releases every year a list of journal titles where you can potentially publish your article. Very comprehensive list. And from there you can see, for instance, if technically speaking, help you to avoid, publishing your work in predatory journal. Because at the end of the day, you must remember that there's always a form of incentive that comes with this publication, especially on the side of institutions, on the side of even your supervisor, and even you as a postgraduate, where some of the remuneration or compensation that comes with it can serve as the resources for you to attend conferences, attend seminars or workshops and the rest of them. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing has a way of paying back, to keep your knowledge capacity developments being improved. Thank you very much. This is the last.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. Yeah, very lovely take on that. I've been trying to get Dr. Salifu. I'm not sure exactly why, but please, if you can just request to come up on stage. I can see a lot of people. I'm going to invite you guys to just come on stage while I wait on Dr. Salifu, because I really want to have his take on things as well. Dr. Tosin, yeah. Okay, so while I wait on okay, Thomas, you're here. Fab, would you like to go on, because you're quite. Where's Thomas? I think there's something wrong with his network. Okay, so taking away from that very quickly, Dr. Pramod, would you mind if we go on to the element of, because right, like Dr. Olu have mentioned. Okay, who is Thomas? Is that you?
Yes, I can. If you want me to speak now, I can speak.
Yes, please speak so that we can get this off.
Okay, I'm on floor. Thank you very much. I'm Thomas Udimago. Generally, I like publishing. I always tell people ask me, you have a lot of publications. You don't need those publications. I'm now going for promotion soon. I just tell them I like publishing. I like contributing. I feel so very happy when I get alert, citation alert, like people citing my work. I know, yes, I'm contributing to the community, to the research community. So generally, I see publishing as a way of contributing to knowledge. If you do a novel work, the work will be publishable. So I always advise you to do a novel, a work that is novel, a work by someone else. That makes your work publishable. So although we get ideas from people, that's why we call it literature review. Work that people have done, that's where we get ideas from. Then you now have to identify a gap in that aspect where people have not worked on before. There are some lapses that you need to fill. So if you can identify those gaps and be able to solve those solutions to it, that is what makes your work new. Maybe you've been able to solve some aspect of the work problem because you've been able to identify a gap and be able to fill the gap. So I love publishing, not because of only promotion, but because I like contributing to knowledge. That's all. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I was just trying to get to my mic. Thank you. Dr. Yakubu, finally. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, okay. Doctor. Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you very much. Is it a specific question or you want my general view on publication?
Yeah, I think we're exploring different aspects of publication. So why is it important for postgraduate, especially graduate school applicants, especially those that are thinking of scholarship? How does it help them? And what are the ways that they can push their work out there through journal, through, Gray, or some other ways of publishing, maybe opinion pieces and whatever it is that they've written? How can they push it out for people to read? So the sort of like those are the aspects that we're on right now.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe as I talk, you may want to search for Theo and add him as a speaker. He has a lot of publications. Okay, so thank you very much for this opportunity. So first of all, I think I need to kind of hammer on why the need for publication. Because why do we need to talk about it? So broadly, publications are very important for two main reasons. It could be more, but from my perspective, I want to, kind of put in two main aspects. The first one has to do with societal impact. And the second one, research impact. And what do I mean by these two impact? So with the societal impact, our research should be able to make impact in the society that we live in terms of ensuring that our findings are used in practice. Because there is no point researching and it has no relation on the sort of things that we need or the sort of things that we practice, or maybe industry, for instance. And that's where my one of my research interests are: how to link theory, practice, and also research. Because the three components must always cohere. Other than that, we will not get any useful impact of the sort of research that we do. Another important thing under the societal impact is to ensure that knowledge, that new knowledge, contributes to society by ensuring that resources are not wasted. We use scarce resources in conducting research. And one of the research that I'm involved in, European Union research about the use of health apps in helping people with palliative care needs. And that was a €3 million project. So can you imagine what 3 million could have done in the lives of people? Let's say provision of roads, water, sanitation, and they have forgone all these things and given the money to researchers to research on something that, at the end, we will not be able to have any impact from it. Then it will be waste of resources. So that's another important thing. And one last point under the societal impact is influence on policy and agenda. Because through research, we'll be able to know the sort of things that will help our health and well-being, or maybe industry, whatever. So research should be able to kind of inform policy. And that's why I don't want to be a bit cheeky here. Most of the countries where, especially Africa, most of our policy, they just go and start a political platform and, oh, I will do this, I will do that, I will do that. It is not informed by any research. The person wins and the person cannot deliver any, it becomes a problem. So our policies must be influenced by, research as well. So in terms of the research impact, one of the two legs of this impact that I've talked about is to ensure that others do not repeat the same mistakes that you've done. So as you may have noted, one aspect or section of most research that has been published is strength and limitation. What didn't go on right, so that other researchers will be able to kind of not waste resources on that, and even sometimes to kind of prevent duplication of effort. Because if this €3 million project that is ongoing, at the end of it all, nothing is published out there, how do people know that this work has been done, and therefore we don't waste another resource going to do same or similar project? And perhaps another important research impact is to build on findings. So for instance, I'm looking at a project in Ghana about how to help people with palliative care needs, and that was it built on my PhD project. So that's one aspect about research impact. You could get other projects coming out from the work that has been published. And most of you might be familiar. Sometimes doing research, what you'll be looking for is gaps in research that people have done. So if people have not published those work, then it will be very difficult to look at what has been done and what remains undone. And last thing about the research impact is it kind of help to build theory and change or challenge old theories. So that's what research do. And I want to also touch on the different, I think even Fola talked about it, the different means by which we could disseminate information. We could, either through, journals, then you can even be through blogs, it can be through writing of books chapters, and a series of other things. The most important thing is that the information get out to the audience. And when publishing, also one important thing that you need to be very mindful about is who are your audience. So if somebody has done something in chemistry or physics, and the person wants to communicate to researchers, who are also within that specific field, then they can go ahead to use their jargons and terminologies, Pythagoras theorem, and what have you. But somebody who is outside that, reading it, may not even get the information at all. So your audience is very important, whether they are researchers, they are academics, professionals, policymakers, managers, or it is the public, the general public, patient, family, and people with special needs. And with respect to policymakers, for instance, or managers, they do not have a lot of time to read about your much more about your literature review, methodology, and social constructivism, and whatever positivism that wouldn't excite them much. They will be looking at what impact it will have on policy, and most times they may want an abridged version of either the work. They wouldn't be interested in reading a full thesis. That will take a lot of their time. So even with journals, publication in journals, some may not even have time. So that's why you may also want to kind of look at these things around blogs to kind of send information that are very distilled to kind of catch their attention. So they may want to read the other published work to get a full detail if they want. And in choosing your journal also, you need to be very mindful. I think some people talked about this, predatory journals, and sometimes you may do an excellent work only to get it, in a predatory journal. It can be very painful. So you need to look at issues around research excellence framework, especially within UK context. People want to, be very mindful of those things. You need to check the citation and the impact factor of the journal or the impact. Sometimes some people don't bother or they don't mind, but that's fine. But you may want to check some of these things. In some universities, they don't care. All that they care is you've been able to publish this number of articles. then you are promoted. Some too, they will be very specific. You should be able to publish in these so journals with this kind of impact factors. So in order not to waste your precious time, if you could get the publication to high impact journals, then why choose a low impact journal? Because sometimes the sort of work that we do that we think that, oh, this one is just very minor thing, it may be, received in those impact journals, especially if you have co-authors. So that's one of the things that you need to look at. Who are your co-authors? Are they people who have expertise, in the field, so they'll be able to kind of contribute to those kind of things. I know a lot of these journals do blinding so that they don't know who is, writing this one. But I can bet my last coin that in some field, you see a manuscript that you are reviewing, and you can bet that this is written by maybe Fola, or maybe it was written by Q. If only you are in that field, you may be able to know. So sometimes it is not possible to completely blind it. I know I'm talking a lot, but just pardon me. Then you need to look at the aims and the target of the journals. Every journal has its own aim. And sometimes people get their articles rejected, not because the article is not good enough, but they found its way in a very wrong destination. If you are going to buy, let's say, fuel, then you will not go to the meat shop. You go and be searching for fuel, because definitely you won't get it there. And that's exactly what happened in the publication world. So know who is ready to accept what, get it at the right place. So read about the aims and the target of the journals, and you have chances that your article will be accepted. Another important thing is that you need to read the author's guide. Sometimes it can be a bit boring, but it's good. I'm preparing one publication for Journal of Sociology of Health and Illness. And the last time that I checked, I think is that the word count was about 8,000, including everything. So we've been struggling to cut a lot of words down, myself and my PhD supervisors, only for me to go there recently to have a look again. And I think they've reviewed it at some part. They said 9,000. I said, wow, I've wasted a whole lot of time. But in one session, they still mentioned the 8,000. So I have to even ask the journal editor, which is which? And they said, oh, it is 9,000. Where did I see the 8,000? So that they will go and edit it. That's good. Because once you don't read, then it means that you may miss important things in submitting your article. Another thing that I want to talk about, which is critically important, is for you to write a very strong covering letter. And in that covering letter, do link it to the remit of the journal. The journal, if for instance, the journal talks about, things around radiography, then you are saying that, oh, I want to publish something in maybe horticulture. Of course, it doesn't match. Or if the journal is about something around palliative care, and you want to, publish something about a very groundbreaking thing that you found in physics, yes, it's good. It might be excellent, but that isn't the right place. So I will allow other, co-panelists to talk, and as and when maybe there's a need for me to come in, or I'm invited, I will, or maybe if questions are directed to me. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Salifu. Wow, you've touched on so many aspects that I was going to ask about. So that's a good start to things. Now, can I just ask quickly, because I do appreciate that some of our audience are not, some of the people in the audience are not necessarily well familiar with some of the terms and the things that we're talking about, especially for example, Dr. Salifu, you mentioned impact factor. So maybe we should start from there. If we can explain, Dr. Pramod, would you mind explaining some element of impact factor, and what does that mean to graduate school applicants, for example, because he or she just finishes his BSc or maybe MSc thesis, and he wants to push it somewhere, and you're talking about impact factor, and he's like, okay, what does this even mean? I just want a journal. So would any of our speakers, thank you, Dr. Teo, for joining us. Would anyone want to chime into that?
Before chatting around the impact factor, said I just wanted to just share briefly about the selecting journal. I think that was a very relevant talk now. I think I agree with the previous speaker about the selecting journal. And one of the other thing is that sometimes it can be tricky. So, for example, if you have a research about mental health among young people, a qualitative study, and then that can possibly go into 3 different journals. So yeah, it can definitely it can go to the mental health journal, but again, this study is about young people, so you can also try with that young people journal if their aim is very suitable around your research. And also most of the journals, and they have a very clear aim and objectives, or they have a remit around the issue. So for example, in some of the journals, they don't like to, or they don't really accept qualitative studies for some reason. They are very advanced type of journal, so that needs to be considered. I'm sure most of our audience, I mean, they are aware or not. So there is a platform, or the website that is called Journal Author Name Estimator. In short form, it is called JANE, JANE. So if you go through the JANE and then type your abstract or title, and then that platform suggests you a couple of journal, so that you can also try whether that journal, the fits within your subject or within your paper. Yeah, that just wanted to say, just in case if we missed this thing in our chat. Yeah, that's everything from my side now.
Okay, thank you, Pramod. So helpful. Actually, I think it was literally this morning. I believe Aaron, you're in this space. Someone asked about the person has actually written an article and they've finished, and they are now asking about which journal to publish because it seems they don't know where to put it. And I commented and said, ideally, it would be good if you have few journals in mind, and write to sort of an extent where you have them in mind in terms of, I think I want to publish into this, or maybe 1 or 2 or 3, or depending on, because that way it helps you structure what you're writing. Now the person has written how they want it to write to be written, and they are now trying to squeeze it in some way. And sometimes journals would actually reject a very good article, a very well researched article, but the problem is because it doesn't fit their requirements, it's not the area of research that they are focused on, they would probably reject it. And the more an article gets, or a manuscript gets rejected, it actually downs the effort to even want to publish it, because it just makes you start doubting, is this even publishable, is this even worth it, and the rest of that. So it's usually better to try and target a particular or few journals and then work back from there, rather than write a nice article and then start looking for where to just drop it in. Dr. Teo, I really appreciate that you've joined us. Would you mind just dropping 1 or 2 things about the conversation we've been having? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fola, and yeah, just happy to be here with my Bournemouth uni colleague Pramod, and thank you, Salid. What I just want to add, I'm sorry joining in late, so I don't know if people have mentioned this, but I think one other trick to sort of getting your articles through, at least through through the desk of a journal, to getting it at least to the stage where reviewers will receive it, is to sort of like strategically positioning yourself to get known by editors of reputable journals within your field. The trick to getting this done is basically you yourself as a PGR writing to an editor. I mean, it might come across as a bold thing,
but editors really do appreciate this, and they are always looking for people to review. So you can write to them and they will be really, really happy, and they can sign you up depending on your level of expertise. They can point you out to resources on learning how to review, at least if you've not done that before. And that will be sort of like one way of getting yourself, known. And, once you've published one or two, they begin to sort of like respect the work that you do. And, when they see things coming from you, at least they know that, hey, this person knows about the journal and at least has followed, is likely going to have followed, the guidelines and so on and so forth. And it could immediately go to reviewers without it being rejected. If you are not bold enough to sort of write to an editor directly, you could basically ask your PhD supervisor, your mentor, to sort of like drop that introduction for you, to do that introduction. And you could end up being signed up as a reviewer for the journal. And the advantage of getting, signed up as a reviewer, it would help you to sort of like know the latest things, research that is going on in your field. It would help you to really be familiar with what people are doing, how to respond to reviewers, and so on and so forth. And you get to know this by really doing it, by seeing some of these things firsthand. And I think a lot of things go on behind the scenes before a paper gets published, and you get to the opportunity to know all these things, which is I think is a really valuable experience and thing that you have to really be aiming at doing. The second thing I want to say is that as an international student, being abroad studying, really I would really strategically position my research pathway to tie in with home, quote and unquote home. I mean once you are abroad, it becomes your home, but home here, where your country of origin, you can always tie your research to link in with it. You can easily become an expert in that area. I know my colleague Pramod is doing so much work in Nepal. Salid is doing so much work in Ghana. I've just done a couple of work in radiography, but this has been tied to Africa, to Ghana, and so on and so forth. And you are the better expert in the field in relation to where you originally come from, because you know the place inside out than anyone else. So tying your research along those lines, I'm not saying, it's not all research that could have that pathway, but if possible in your line of work, don't forget about that opportunity, because you are an international person, whatever you do. And I think there is this niche thing there that you can always do just to get you out there, and you become an expert. You'll be recognized in that area of or line of work. So you may be around here, but don't forget about those opportunities. Read your guidelines, read the aims and objectives of journals. And I think these are the things that you need to do even way before you actually even start writing, because at least you need to have the guidelines in your head just to help you know the number of words that you are writing, the styles, how you put your subheadings and so on, whether you need to number certain things in a particular way according to the journal guidelines. So at least the first point of call is basically get to know about a few requirements of certain journals to help you to start to draft your work to avoid being text rejected. Probably I think I'll just keep it short like this, just so that I don't end up, repeating a lot of things that people have already said. And apologies joining in late. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Teo. First of all, no, you did not repeat. You actually added a whole lot to the conversation on ground. And second, I am actually a Beaumont alumni. And so just to say that.
Are you coming back home soon?
Well, I do. Dr. Pramod, you're on. Yeah. I asked Dr. Pramod to start a public health department, and then we can come back. But
she's actually doing one of our lectures in April here.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah. So I think I've actually had Dr. Pramod about 3 lectures or so. I'm not sure, 2 or 3 lectures
Yeah, yeah.
at
So
Bournemouth. So
yeah, you are my annual guest lecturer.
I know, right? So happy to be,
Right.
and I'm very attached to Bournemouth because Bournemouth actually gave me a whole lot, as a master's student, as a PhD student, and even now, while I'm away from Bournemouth, I'm still very much attached to it. It's a very, yeah, I would say it's a very good school. I mean, I've tried other schools now. I've tried somewhere else, so yeah, I know. Bournemouth is, yeah. You guys are doing fantastic. Well done. Okay, so Carrie, yes, Pramod.
Yeah, just wanted to quickly add on what you said. I think we are having a very very good conversation, and one of the things I think we should have shared this previously, that we tend to write articles sometimes which has a 3 or 4 key issues, and so my suggestion is try to stick only 1 or 2 ideas in one paper so that you can actually save some of the other ideas in other paper. So do not waste too many good ideas in a single paper. For example, when I did my PhD at that time, I actually published 5 different papers. I mean, I could have published one paper having all 5 areas, but yeah, that's something you need to think. If you are a novice researcher, for example, if you are doing a PhD, you can have one literary paper and one sort of editorial, and then you can have another methodological paper if you have something to add on that, and obviously you have 1, 2 papers from your findings section. So that is something you can think, and yeah, so always keep in mind and make explicit to the reader where your original contribution to knowledge lies. So that's very very important, and yeah, just wanted to say that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pramod. Dr. Olu.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure what's happening with my network. It keeps taking me out and in. I actually raised my hand, just to add more to what Dr. Pramo just mentioned now, with respect to not putting out all of your ideas in one paper. And one of the things I tweeted about, and I think I've done that a few times, is to let postgraduate students know that for their research, for instance, if you're doing your master's or your PhD, each of your objective is a potential manuscript. At the very least, is a potential research article. And what do I mean by that? Let me break it down further. Number one, for your objective that you want to meet in your study, there are certain kind of data that you have to collect. There are certain kind of analysis that you have to do. There is certain kind of information that has to come out of the analysis that will help you achieve the objective. And ladies and gentlemen, that becomes your manuscript, because from there, you just take some few steps backward, build the story from your introduction, highlight some of the previous studies, the limitations of the previous studies, then present the objective of the article. Then you clearly articulate your research methodology, and already you have the results. Present it, discuss it, and that I'm trying to make it sound easy. It is easy, and at the same time very very complicated. But I'm just letting you know that you again. I think one of my preferred or most used word on this space today is don't shortchange yourself by pumping out all of the brilliant work you have done in one manuscript or one article. Split them up and think critically around how to navigate on that, and make all of your efforts being recognized and not just being collapsed into one document. Yeah, that's just what I want to chime in now. Thank you. This is Olu, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. Very nice contribution there. Absolutely. We do have some. Let me just take away briefly. I think we haven't actually talked about impact factor and what does it mean for someone, for example, someone that is about to publish their first article or maybe second or first author article. What do they need to consider? Because I'm thinking, do you need to, like what first of all, what is impact factor? if we can try and break it down so that someone that is thinking, okay, I saw this article is actually very low on impact factor. Sorry, this journal is very low on impact factor, but should I still go ahead and publish with them? Would anyone want to chime into that?
Can I fill in?
Yes, Dr. Theo. Yes, please go on.
Yeah, so an impact factor really is sort of like the the frequency with which an article published in a particular journal gets cited, and that is the sort of like one metric that is used in categorizing journals within a particular field. And so, for example, in the field of radiology, we are looking at, say, an American Journal of Radiology, which is kind of like, highly ranked, because when your paper goes in there, it gets to be cited more. Looking at, say, for example, sorry, I'm being biased here because I come from the field of radiology, so I mean those are the journals that I know. So forgive me. You look at journals like Neuroimaging, Journal of Neuroimaging, which these are reputable journals in the field. When you publish in there, they stand a chance of being cited, very frequently, and so they end up being, they're relatively highly ranked within that area, and so on and so forth. So it cuts across, and that is just one of the metrics that is used for categorizing journals in terms of impact. That being said, there are other metrics also, and it is good to sort of like consider the impact factor of a journal, but I would also be more leaning towards the other metrics of the journal and not necessarily focus on how the impact factor is, because you could publish in a very high impact factor. The fact that papers there are frequently cited or people will see them does not necessarily mean that if you publish that, you get lucky to publish that particular article there, it is automatically going to be cited. No. So I could publish in, I'll be more leaning to professional journal. So in the field of radiology, we have a journal, our professional journal, which is a journal of radiography. I will be more leaning to publishing certain kinds of work in that journal. It is of relatively low impact factor, but it is an international journal for radiographers all over the world. So if I want radiographers across the world to read my work, I would end up, I'll be more leaning to publishing or submitting that particular article to the Journal of Radiography, because I know that professionals, who are my target audience, will be more leaning to reading it once I put it in there, rather than putting it in American Journal of Radiology, where it is likely to be read by people in America, and of course, people elsewhere will read it, but predominantly people in America will read it because they have, professional access to that journal, whereas people in the UK and elsewhere will not really have access to that journal readily. So there are other metrics that we could look at, and, it's sort of like a balance, having that chat with people who are relatively experienced or have publish a few more in the field, just to guide you in choosing some of these journals and the home where you end up submitting your article. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Theo. Very essential there in the fact that impact factor is quite, important in the sort of like quality of articles that are published in a journal. It does help a lot, but that's not the only thing that you need to consider, especially where you're not, for example, really certain about how a journal or the journal itself, you're not really certain about the journal. You could look at other things around it, as Dr. Theo have mentioned. Dr. Olu, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think I like the way Dr. Theo, articulated the whole point around impact factor, and he made mention of something that I'm always so eager to apply when it comes to either mentoring students or something like that, and that is the fact that you must be able, it's non-negotiable, you must be able to identify the leading journal titles in your field, and it starts there. And this is what I like to tell students, to say, over time, when you're doing your research, if anybody wakes you up at, say, maybe for the lack of a better word, 2 a.m. in the morning, you should be able to, at the back of your hand, mention at least 5 to 6 journal titles where articles are always being published in your research area of interest. And this is where it becomes really tricky. We are now in the era of research where research is multidisciplinary. Research cuts across. You might be shocked that all of a sudden, because of my interest in, say, maybe nuclear chemistry, I might find Dr. Theo a worthy collaborator, and I say, Dr. Theo, let us publish an article. And the truth is, we have to sit down and strategize, because it cannot be a default to say, okay, we will publish it in Journal of Radiography. We need to understand the scope of the journal title. We need to know what areas they cover and where our research or our manuscript is coming in. Is it coming in within the scope of the journal title? So these are all the things, that you consider beside the impact factor. In fact, one of the things I try to encourage students is have a list of these articles or these journal titles and arrange them in the hierarchy. Okay, the one with the highest impact factor. Okay, the one that goes next. Okay, the one that goes next. Then again, you want to check the frequency of publication. Is it the kind of journal where you submit 8 months down the line, they are still looking for reviewer, or there's even no communication and all the rest of it? Because let's be honest. I mean, please pardon my French. Look, shit happens in academia. Look, so you don't want to get caught up in all of those things. You want to make sure that at least you cover your flanks, you avoid some of the things that are avoidable and the rest of them. So brilliant insight. Thank you. This is what I'm speaking.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. Dr. Pramod has shared a very fantastic, he has been publishing around supporting students to publish, the whole conversation that we are having today. So many aspects of it has actually been published by Dr. Pramod. Obviously, I know other people have published as well, but Dr. Pramod just shared a very nice article around impact factor, all the metrics and everything that goes that needs to be considered when you're selecting the journal that you want to publish. What are the key things that you need to look about that journal, their metrics, their performance, the articles that they publish, the kind of topics, the methods, and just so many other things that you need to consider beyond just, this journal is a high impact journal, and so that I must push my article there. So there are other things, and I would like you to really please look at that publication. I've actually shared a tweet on it just a minute now. Ade Jumo.
Yeah, Fola. Thank you very much. Dr. Fola, I greet you. Dr. Pramod, Dr. Luadiniji. Special greetings to everyone and all gurus in the house. Well, I'm happy to be here with you, beautiful people, listening to you, getting to know how you can, cross your T's and dot the I's in the realm of academia. Really, my wish is to ask for an important question that has been, let me say, challenge to me since this past few days. Although my journey is still a little bit far from you guys, because according to what I'm saying here, profiles, PhDs in the bag. Wow, it is so amazing. And I'm highly impressed to be here with you beautiful people. So the question is that I am currently pursuing a master's program, hopefully a fully funded one in the US. So the issues that I'm currently having, which I can say categorically that I have not been able to experience something like that is that there's always been this request from majority of those schools in the US. They are requesting me to publish an article. So, and fortunately for me, when I got on Twitter today, I noticed that most discussions that, one or two points that people have been trying to pinpoint has to do with that aspect. And believe me, I don't know anything about it for now. How do you go about it? How do you polish journals online? I don't know. So part of the requirement is that I publish my undergraduate work, which I did around 2017. So I want to find a way to do that. I need a lead. How do you do it? Do we have specific sites that one can make use of that you do that? So, and I strongly believe that on the verge of attending circles of people like this, I will get to learn. And then when I'm finally in the mix, then as you progress in academics, you learn more and then you get to better yourself. Thank you very much for that. So this is the question. I'm hoping that my bosses in the house would be able to guide me on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that question, Adejumo. I think I would give a very short take on this, and then I would open up for my wonderful well published senior colleagues, because I'm there not I'm not, senior colleagues, let me put it that way, to add on to it. So first of all, when we started this conversation, we talked about the fact that I encourage international and early career researcher to, especially if you're trying to go into postgraduate school. There is no postgraduate school that where you have publication would be a negative thing to you. So because some people are like, well, I don't need to publish. Sorry, the scholarship doesn't really require a publish, so I might as well just, it might not require. Some scholarship don't. They would look at other things that you may have and they will fund you. However, it doesn't hurt. It would always be a positive. It's always an addition if you publish something. And that's why I was saying earlier that sometimes you'll be like, what can I publish? The first thing I encourage you can publish is your master's or your BSc project. Hopefully you have done it well enough for it to be publishable. And that's the first point to start. Now, I think your question is around where can you publish it, if I'm correct? Just a yes or no?
Yes, Fola, that's the question.
Okay, so I think, like I said, I will open it up to my esteemed speakers to please chime in. But like Dr. Olu said earlier, you need to know the journals that are within your area of research. What field have you done your project on? What are the journals? Because you need to have a list and start eliminating them one after the other. So that's just one I would say, because first of all, I don't know your area of research. I'm not entirely sure I even know the journals if I know your area of research, because research is crazy wide and vast. So you still would probably be the best person to answer this question because you have done the research, you have cited articles. I think it was my esteemed colleague in Australia, Aaron, earlier today as well. He was telling somebody who sort of like was in the same boat as you are, where do I publish? And he asked the person, you cited articles for you to have written that manuscript that you wrote. Where are those journals? Where are they publishing? Especially the key journals, the key articles that you have cited that really your research is leveraging on. Where have they published those ones? Because those are the kind of journals that will probably be interested in your article, just to begin with in terms of the conversation, and then obviously you can start eliminating bit by bit and the rest of that. So I'm going to stop it here, and please, is there any of my speaker that would like to add to it? Thank you.
Paula, thank you. I think you cover that very well. I just wanted to add that sometime we can also ask with the journal editors whether they are very interested around that particular task or particular paper. I had one example. I drafted one editorial, and then I shared that editorial to one of the editors. I know we have this editorial, and he said, normally our editors write an editorial, but this looks very interesting and this nicely fits within our paper. That's why, and we are happy to publish that as a guest editorial. That's why they accepted that. The other thing is we can always ask with experienced colleagues. So, for example, if we are doing our master's or PhD, we can always discuss with our supervisor whether they have any ideas about potential journal, for the paper. I think we already discussed about the impact factor. So that's that other thing to consider. And finally, we also need to consider the open access, which is a big name in UK. So, we always try to make our publications open to everyone. I think there are a couple of things to consider, but we can always discuss with our colleagues and friends or supervisor if we're not quite sure, and make sure you read all the instruction and aims and objectives of the journal and whether the paper fits nicely. Sometimes I know the high impact journal, there is also high rejection rate, but sometimes we try to publish if there are any special issue offered by journal. So it's always a little bit easier to publish in a special issue than the other regular journal. So I think the FOLA is also hosting a special issue in one of the journals. Maybe she can also share whether there is any possibility.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod. Can I just very quickly, just what you said, Dr. Olu, 1 minute, and I'll be with you in a minute. Just what you said, Dr. Pramod. I remember doing my PhD. I actually wrote, this is what I was saying about writing your introduction or your research proposal. So I wrote my research proposal and I sent it to a journal to ask them if they will be happy, if there's something they would like to publish. So I wrote like a cover letter asking for their view on if this is something that they'll be interested in. And then I attached the article itself, the manuscripts, I attached it. One day I didn't hear back. Maybe they sent me an email and it went to junk or something. I can't remember, but I didn't see anything and I just forgot about it, right? And then one day I was obviously working on my PhD, looking for diabetes, looking for ethnic minority, and just typing out different things on Google. And I saw an article and I was like, what? The importance of diabetes research or something in African. I'm like, oh my God, somebody is doing exactly what I'm doing. What is this? I clicked on the article. It was, wait, this looks familiar. Wait, it's my article with my name on it. I could not believe. I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't even, they had published it. I didn't know, I wasn't aware. And yeah, so definitely ask editors if they are happy to publish, or if they are, sometimes their view, the focus of the journal might not necessarily be in your area for that time. So if you ask them, they may actually tell you yes or no. Also, Dr. Pramod mentioned special issue. That's a big conversation on its own. Currently, I'm serving as a guest editor for one special issue in a with a journal. And for special issue, what special issue, long story short, is just that it is sort of like a special focus that the journal is interested in, maybe a research area that the journal is like, oh, we want to have publication around this. And so even if the journal have high rejection rates for that very topic, because they are interested in that, if you can target a special issue, you might have higher chance of getting published with them. Just to put it that way. So thank you, Dr. Pramo. Dr. Olu, please.
Thank you very much. I'm just trying to remember point around time me. But let me use mic now. Then I'll come in. The noise.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Olu. That's fine. Dr. Yakubu, is there any addition you want to add on? No? Okay.
Yeah, I think they kind of highlighted all the important points that I have. But one more thing that I may want to emphasize is, they could try even conference presentations to begin with. It's very helpful because most conference presentations are in the form of how journals are being published. Then trying to link with other people who have interest in their subject area as authors. It helps because I believe that research and publication is both science and arts. You may know all the techniques and other things, but that art component, you need to, kind of get some kind of apprenticeship sometimes to be able to become an expert. So it's another area that people could explore, trying to look at people whose work kind of touches on this to form a collaboration to publish. So with time, once they are able to get their wings fully grown, then they can fly higher and higher. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Salifu. Just talking of that, I'm going to put Dr. Pramod on the spot here. So when I started my PhD, we were in the same office. I'm still thankful. That was a very nice, God just put him there. So he's literally beside my desk, like literally the next desk beside me. And he's doing his postdoc and I'm doing my PhD, right? And Pramod would just come in the office and just be like, Fola, did you hear that? You can publish, you can write something on it. I'm like, wait, what? Because that time I didn't think, I wasn't thinking really far in terms of especially publishing in some journal that he would highlight. And he really pushed me like, no, you can publish there, you can try it, you can do this, we can write on this. And I mean, Dr. Pramod is almost always ready to publish. I think sometimes he publishes, it's almost like he just publish when he feels like. So try and get those people around you, because if not, if you do, sorry, they really help you achieve those goals that you may not necessarily think you can achieve. But yeah, it's quite valuable. There are several requests and I would really like to take them, but I'm just thinking if we go through sort of like what I have or hope we can cover, and then maybe some questions may have been answered, or maybe we can then address the request as the case may be. So very quickly, because I think some of our audience, some people in the audience are probably early career researcher, maybe from low income country, and publishing is a lot. In fact, some low income country authors would actually have to publish from their pocket, right? Or at least we've heard about that. So what is the whole idea about paying for publication? And what is the conversation around paying for publication? Is there any take on that one? Anybody? Oh, have I mute everyone? Did I mute everyone? Can you hear me?
Sorry, no.
Okay.
I mean, no, we don't need to pay. I mean, sometimes that's the journal's requirement, and there are a lot of costs associated with the publications. But again, there are lots of options available. For example, I'm from Nepal, and there are lots of free journals, and I tend to publish there. And I think I've sent you another link. I think two publications that is about academic writing or academic publications. So what we do is, we always try to find a free journal if possible, but make sure that the journal has the good sort of background. They are not fake, or they publish regularly. And the other thing is that once we publish, and we can always promote that from various ways. For example, you can tweet, and you can also write a blog. You need to upload that in our repository system. That means this paper are open access. So if you Google it, or if you find through the database, you can always access that paper. So I think the idea is there are options. And again, for early career researcher or masters or postgraduate student, I mean, we always encourage that. Here is here. We had one study from one student from I think South America, and she wanted to do something around Nepal. and she finished that master's student, and she said, okay, we need to publish that. And she said, what? Can I publish that? She was so excited. She never thought that, she could also publish that. And we encouraged that, and Theo and I supported her, and finally her manuscript was published, I think, 3 months ago. I had another MPhD student from Burundi, and again, he was doing a literature review, and we really need to publish it. What? And he was so shocked. And when I said that, and listen, we all are from LMIC, and you are a first author, and if you submit that, you get, you don't need to pay anything, because we wanted to publish that BMC reproductive health, and the open access charge was something like £1,800. So he said, £1,800, we could buy a land in my country. He said, no, don't worry. We can actually apply for a fee waiver, and then it took 1 year, but he actually managed to publish that in a high, the very good journal, and now he's doing PhD, and that publication really helped. So we have a very good, a lot of success story, and then but again, I think there is lots of journal, there is open access, and if we are from LMIC, they are very supportive, and they do that. And I had another interesting examples. I think that's one of the very good journal, and I submitted that, and I applied for open access fund to my university. However, university said no, we don't money for that, and then I decided to withdraw from that journal, and then I emailed to the journal saying that, I'm very sorry to say that I couldn't secure the open access fund. I really like to withdraw. And then the editor said, Pramod, this is very interesting paper. We really want to publish, and we gonna waive the fee. So we had two interesting event that the journal actually waived the fees, although I wasn't eligible because my work, the advocacy to the UK. There are so many interesting, these stories.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod. I think the moral or the summing up is that you could actually get fee waiver, especially if you're in low income country, which most journals are quite receptive towards, because they want to encourage you to push your work out there, because they want to support you in publishing. So where you're concerned, you have your eye on a journal, and you see that they actually request you, or they require a very high fee for you to publish, just try and email them. Sometimes they do have this this fee waiver, and that would be something that you can take advantage of. Dr. Theo, are you gonna
I just want to add, just because I submitted something actually this morning, so early this morning, and I didn't know before. So if you are a member of some professional organizations or societies, that's a way of you getting waivers. So I am a member of the Society of Radiographers in the UK, and I was just submitting, and I didn't know, just by being a member of the society, I'm eligible, the waiver for the article processing charge, which is like £2,000 for open access. And so I quickly just agreed that when the paper is accepted, I wanted to open access. So if you are a member of a society, just check and see whether you may be eligible. That waiver. The other thing too is that if you are publishing from low and you are working on you are from a low income country, there are also opportunities if you are collaborating with people in the UK, America, and elsewhere. Some of these universities have just special agreements with Elsevier journals and so on, and specific journals. Just so you may be eligible access if you have a co-author from the UK or these countries. It will not hurt if you just let them be the corresponding authors, so that the article just open access. I mean, it's a win-win. You could be the first and you just give the corresponding author, just so that your paper become eligible for being accessed, which it gives so much opportunity and audience to the work that you are doing. And of course, this has to be a discussion between yourself and other co-authors. But in my opinion, I think relinquishing that corresponding authorship to someone just so that the thing being access is really, really a big win, because you are saving like £2,000 or more, which I think is a thing to do really for the best of the paper. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Teo. Yes, absolutely. Also, I just remembered, I think this I got from Dr. Salifu, because we were about publishing, we were working on an article, and I remember he was like, oh, let's publish in this journal, let's publish in that one, because his university is actually subscribed to those journals, and so it will be free. So it's just something to consider. There are some universities that's within UK, I'm sure other contexts as well. But if you could check your university, if they are subscribed to some of these journals, they might waive the fee. And we have been talking, Dr. Olu, I'm just coming to you in a minute, but we've been talking about fee and open access, and I'm thinking some people or one or two persons might be like, what is open access, what is fee? Dr. Olu, would you mind, when you're providing your response, also adding that, just to explain open access and why it would be good to publish in open access? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Bola. So, the points that I wanted to make earlier on, which I'm going to collapse into the one you just wanted me to talk about now, was about Adejumo asking where he could publish another. And I think Dr. Aaron gave a very brilliant response with respect to look. You were citing articles. You had reference list. So you should check those references that you've or those your citations and go consult. But here's the thing: let's look at the worst case scenario here, where you were not, or you've not developed the manuscript, so to say, so you don't even have reference list, and this is where the database become very, very important. With respect to the databases, what you will be doing, and I'm looking at the worst case scenario now, where you go to those databases, okay? You go to those databases and you look carefully at the journals that they've been publishing in that relates to your own research area of interest, the journal that is most unique to your research area of interest, and you can look carefully at those journals. If we are not even making it too complicated, look at Google Scholar. I tried to show that in one of my YouTube channel, where I demonstrated how you could see the topmost journal titles in your research area of interest. Depending on where you're looking at it, Google Scholar gives you that opportunity. There's a way you can navigate around it, and you see those topmost journals, and you can look at the scope of those topmost journals and see, okay, if this journal is this, okay, can I publish here, and all the rest of them. So that's more or less like the worst case scenario, where you don't even have the manuscript being prepared yet, so you don't even have a reference list and all the rest of them. You can go explore those databases and see where they are publishing the articles, the kind of article that you want to publish. That's the point that I wanted to mention. So with respect to open access, the name speaks for itself, if I may put it that way. Open and accessible. In other words, there are instances where even if you are going through your university library website, okay, you hit the brick wall where you want to access a manuscript, an article that has been published, and they are telling you, no, you have to pay you have to pay £50 or $34. Okay, that means that those ones, they have restricted access. It is only for institutions or individuals that are subscribed to it that can access it. So open access is simply saying, look, guys, we don't want to keep knowledge in solitary confinement. We want to make it easily accessible to all. And the irony of it is that some of these open access journals, they actually, credible, authentic, validated journal titles that are published in very, very credible databases. Of course, my most preferred database is Scopus. Even Google Scholar. So you will discover that open access is one place where you want to go to. Of course, we cannot underestimate the benefit of it. We are not in the developed countries. I mean, we are in the developing or even underdeveloped, and being able to gain access to some of these articles is something you really, really want to explore. You don't want to hit a brick wall. And I think that also speaks a little bit into this whole idea. Look, let's be honest, and I'm sure we cannot pretend about it. There are some websites, there are some, I wouldn't call them database, that please, if you can, they are, for the lack of a better word, they are illegal. If you can, do not go there to look for articles. And I'm talking about, I was fortunate to do most of my research experiment in Russia back in 2012, 2013, when I was doing my PhD. And I tell you, when you see the kind of rebellion within academia where some individuals decide to create this website where they dump articles. So technically speaking, whatever article you're looking for, whatever book you're looking for, the chances are that you most likely get there. And one of them is Sci-Hub. Please be careful, when you navigate those websites, because they are illegal. It can really, it can really work against you. Way. But yeah, so I hope I managed to chime in a few points. This is Olu and I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. Yes, the whole explanation I really wanted to get is what is open access, and as Dr. Olu has put it, it is those publication or the way, one of the ways where you can publish and your article can be read completely and cited by anyone free of charge to that person. So some journals would actually publish open access and also free. Some journals will publish open access maybe for someone in LMIC through fee waiver or the rest of that. And some journals would publish, but would put it under sort of like a brick wall where whoever is going to request the full article, the abstract can be read, but the full article would have to either be accessed through some type of way. Maybe your university subscribed to that journal and you will be able to see it, or you may have to pay a certain amount. So obviously those kind of articles get less, depending on they may get less citations because not everyone is able to get access to it. So I just wanted to clarify, what does it mean or for an article to be published open access, and why do we even have to pay this fee? I think I was saying it, I tweeted it a while ago, my first publication. I remember I published, the article came out and I was so happy. It was my master's thesis, right? I'm so happy. I tweeted it, or was it tweet or on Facebook then? I can't remember which one. And my sister was excited, like she couldn't believe it. She shared it. She was just like, "Oh my God, you published!" And then she called me because we were chatting, right? And then she called me when she had time, and she was like, "Oh, this is so nice. So how much are they paying you?" And I was like, they are not paying me. I had to I had to pay. Obviously I didn't pay from my pocket, but like I was like I had to fund it for it to be open access. And she's like, so why am I celebrating? It's like, well, I mean, it's good thing that we publish. So somebody might be like, why do I go through all this stress and then even maybe pay or find a way of funding it? The reason is, if you don't do that, for some journal you might actually limit how well your research is, how far it's going to go, how many people is going to read it. And so that's why we try and push it articles into open access journal. Abraham, thanks for waiting in line. Would you want to go now with your question?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Fola, for the whole space, and every other speaker that has spoken. Thank you so much. I really been writing so fast since I joined this space. So I have a couple of questions for Dr. Tio and next for Dr. Olu. Dr. Tio, I have more like a research interest that cuts across yours. And I'm an AI engineer, but I'm looking forward to doing something in radiography. So I don't know, are you interested in perhaps partnering to for us to do something, or I don't know if you're available? I just want to know about that. And I also want to ask about how one of the speakers spoke earlier about publishing being an art, especially in high impact journals. So how does someone get to learn the art of publishing or getting your paper accepted to high impact journals? Because the speaker also made mention that most of these high impact journals, there's also, it comes with high rejection rate. So if you know the art and you can master it, of course you can beat that high rejection rate. That's those are the two questions I have for Dr. Teo. And Dr. Olu, you made mention about Sci-Hub and every other thing. I am going to say this, that most of the research that I do, and most of it, once it comes to research, I think Sci-Hub is my go-to savior, because when you try to, let's say, read about other people's work, you don't really get enough cues. If you check websites like Science Direct now, if you want to get papers from here, they ask you to pay for almost all your papers there. But when you just pick the link and go to Sci-Hub, and you can easily see the paper there. So are you saying that the papers that we see on Science Direct, but getting it through Sci-Hub is also illegal? I don't understand why you're saying that. And Sci-Hub just helps you get from other places. It's not like Sci-Hub posts. So I don't know if you could throw more light on that. I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much. Those are my questions. I'm done speaking, and Zebra.
Okay, thank you, Abraham. Dr. Teo, would you want to respond to Abraham?
Hi, Abraham. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, first of all, your interest, my research area, and the request. I mean, it's really an honor to sort of get a request, potential collaboration. Just please drop me a line, and we can take it there, have that discussion. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Teo. Wow, look at that. Abraham, just quick tip. I do hope that you have checked out Dr. Teo's research thoroughly before. If you haven't, please go and do that thoroughly before you reach out to him, because what you don't want is for you to write a line and say, I want us to collaborate on what you haven't even. So please do your homework before you get to Dr. Teo. He's a very, very busy person, and his time is valuable. So for him to even be willing, you have to put in the work and impress him in that regard. So lovely. Thank you. Dr. Olu. Oh, it's like your network is shaking.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, try. Yeah, I think we could hear back somehow. It's
okay. The problem is I'm
oh, you're on the road.
Yes, I'm still time.
Oh, it's literally just breaking throughout. If you're on the road, Dr. Olu, thank you. Maybe you could respond to Abraham's question if you do manage to get somewhere a bit more quiet and steady. But thank you so much. Who have I got next? I mean, I have quite a few requests. And Yishka, do you want to go next? Oh, sorry, Yishak. Yishak. So sorry, I think I messed up that name. Yishak, do you want to go next? Okay, no. Maybe Yishak is still thinking about
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, please go on. Please go on, Yishak.
Okay, to begin with, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sak, as you read from my profile name. I'm from Ethiopian, Discover Boarding Experience in Britain. Now, I wish to inform you to give some information about scholarship, because now it's displaced from our environment to civil war. If anyone who has the scholarship link. Can you give me once, because now we are placed and there is no such like educational access to learn, because the country is facing now a hard school war. So now I am a dedicated student at Ishogo Boarding School at 2020 Academy here. Anyone?
Okay, thank you, Ishak. Okay, right. So, scholarship requests. First of all, I think we do post few scholarship. I try as much as I can come across them. I post them. But you, so many of our speakers and even so many people that have graciously joined us in the audience actually post scholarships. So I would say, because right now, first of all, I don't know your area of your field. I don't know what kind of research is it, MSc, is it PhD? I don't know. No, I'm just saying. I'm not. Yes.
Fola, I mean that I'm asking you now. I'm a high school student. I tell you last time, because now I'm great experience at Chicago boarding school. I'm not finished now my high school lesson, so I would like to apply for a high school program. You are aware of that?
Okay. No, I am so not aware of high school programs. Unfortunately, I think yeah, no, no high school program. I don't know. I would say start with just Google what you want and just see what is very quick.
Chicago boarding school. It's a boarding school. You know that found around in Hosan, Ethiopian, regional area of Ethiopia. Now I'm there, and I'd like to apply for a scholarship. Can you contact me?
Can I contact you? Wow. Okay. I think I'm going to move on to. So thank you, Ishak. Is it Chu Chu Chukwing? So sorry.
That's Chukwuwike.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sorry for I can understand with that. Yes, thank you once again for this space. So much information, very insightful. Thank you. And the other co-host. My question, I don't know if I just joined, actually that has been attended to. I just want to know the difference between institutional based journals and other maybe private journals. Because in my institution, there's publish institutional journal. Like in my department, we have a journal. In my faculty, we have a. So we are being encouraged to publish in a institutional journal more than the other type of journal. So and I've not been able to ask that question. What's the difference? What difference does it make? Or it is that we just need to publish there. So maybe I can use this space to understand that better. Again, it's about the impact factor. It's also one of the things that's been emphasized in my space that we should publish in a high impact factor and all that. How do we calculate this impact factor? Because when you are looking out for a journal that you want to publish, how do you determine a journal that has a very high impact factor so that will help you to make your judgment? Thank you for now. I think I can ask more as we go.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Institutional. I mean, so many journals are institution based anyway. Some of them are not, of course, but so many are. And I think you're being encouraged by your institution to publish in them because obviously the more you publish, the more people read from that journal, the more they will be, cited and other authors will want to publish and their profile would increase. And like you said, the impact factor would most likely also increase. So I think that's why they are encouraging you publish there. I would that's just briefly what I want to say on that. Is there anyone who I want to add to that question? No? Yep, no? Okay. Um If anyone wants to add, that would be nice. If not, that's fine. For the other journals, like I said, your institution actually is encouraging you because that helps the profile of that journal within the institution. The problem, not a problem, but the difference is that compared to other journals that are well, for example, you have a nice article that you manuscript that you've written and you're thinking of publishing it somewhere. Your institutional journal might not necessarily be a leading journal in that area of research that you have done, and so publishing outside or in other journals um, that are more established would probably help your research, would help, the citation would help your profile. For example, I think we were talking about impact factor. Yes, impact factor and two stars, the stars on the journal and the rest of that. Sometimes if you publish in this, maybe not too a bit low, but maybe not too low journals, you might not necessarily, it might not count, the weight of it might not really count towards maybe you're looking at promotion or progression, maybe towards ref. There's something we do here in the UK called the ref, the Research Excellence Framework, and all those other institutional panel events or programs that are used to judge what the impact of the research from that journal from that university is. So if you publish in your institutional journal, and obviously meaning you publish maybe majority of your work there, and it's not that leading in terms of the area of research, you might not necessarily give you that exposure that you would want if you go ahead to publish somewhere outside with a more reputable or a more known journal. So obviously the decision is yours, but I can agree and understand why your institution would encourage that you publish in them, because the more they have, the more other researchers or other authors would send their articles to them, and the more exposure they'll get, and eventually they'll probably join one of the leading journals as well. Talking of impact factor, I think impact factor, just like I think it was Dr. Teo, I believe that's highlighted on that, is just how well your the journal is being referenced in that area of research that they are publishing at. So where you are able to it depends on you. Some people don't really mind about impact factor, and we talked about it, the fact that impact factor is not the only thing you need to consider about a journal. You should also look at other things. Who are what's the readership, who are the audience, and what is the aim or the key thing that you want to be taken away from your research, because that would also probably impact on where you would want to publish your article. um I wouldn't say don't go below certain impact factor, or one, two, three, whatever. But just where it gets too low and the journal is not reputable, then it becomes a problem, because you will be putting so much work in doing a lot of your research and then publishing it in somewhere that is a bit questionable. And so try and balance out the quality in terms of the reputation of the journal, and also the readership and other aims that you may have in publishing that very article. I'm not sure if I've touched on the questions, but I can see your hand up. I'll just go around the request and then come back to your question again. Housing, housing studies.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here, Dr. Falan and Dr. Olu and other folks. So if you permit me to say some one or two things about the discussion, because Housing Journal, I saw the discussion, then I decided to join, because I think it's something that we are interested in as a publication study journal, because let me just talk about Housing Journal first of all. Housing Journal is an international journal in the UK here, providing theoretical and analytical development in the housing field. And basically, I just want to just give one or two advice on what we look at in terms of publication. What are the for master students? And I won't say much about PhD students, because I'm sure most PhD students how to go about it. So first of all, I will say, if you are a master student, basically if you're in the UK, what you need to do is to first of all go through your reading list in your modules and check those authors and look at the journals they published, because that's very important, because that is going to give you an idea of the kind of journals that are kind of familiar to your area of study. And then secondly, if you go on Google Scholar, right, you will see list of journals, public authors, and the numbers of citation, the ranking, and everything. I think that should also be a good way to tell you this particular author and where they publish in, and the kind of readership that they have. Then one other thing I think is important, if you go to sites such as Taylor and Francis, right? So if you go online on Taylor and Francis and you check the website, you will see that Taylor and Francis, for instance, they have over 2,000 journals in the website. So on various fields, from African history studies, housing studies, talking about any area you would just want to talk about. So the only thing you just need to do is just filter your search and look at the journals that are under Taylor and Francis, Stage Open, and look at their impact rating, and try to see how you can get to publish in them and contact them. Then one other thing I think that is important here is that I think one of the best way that we advise people to go at the early research stage is to go for open access journal, because basically I think most school universities in the UK, they have this kind of contract or kind of partnership with all these journal that allows university students to publish their articles for free. So if your university is in partnership with all these journals, I'm sure of Taylor and Francis and some other journals, you get your articles to be reviewed and published for free, and that is like kind of some kind of leverage you can kind of leverage on. Then before I just drop the mic, I think one other thing you can try to look at is try to see how to partner with your supervisors, right? So if you have a supervisor and you know that they are publishing in a high impact journal, it is best to partner with them on publication and try to come up with a very good article and in a very research area. And I'm sure that most of these supervisors, they have access. Most of them are editors. Most of them are in charge of these high impact journals, so they can easily help you to work on how to publish and what have you. So I think that's just one of the things I decided to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Housing Studies. Thank you so very much for that. Just to say that it's in your best interest to publish with your supervisor. Obviously, for us in the UK, for example, we it's not compulsory. For my current university, you actually have at the start of your PhD, for those that are doing their PhD, you actually have an agreement that we have before we start the thesis program at all, the whole PhD. We have something you agree. Do you want us to be part of your publication or not? And so obviously it depends on the student. But my suggestion would be, for your own good, most of if not most, all of your supervisors have published one way or the other, and probably published enough to really help them in their career, that they you need them to an extent, maybe more than they need you. I'm not too sure. And then also is not very advisable that you are lone publisher. So that means even if you're doing fantastic research and journals are taking your manuscript and publishing it ASAP, it's still better for you to be more of a collaborator, where you're working with different people and publishing with them rather than you publishing alone. So that's also something for you to keep in mind. I remember not so yeah, was it last year or the year before that, a PhD student of mine actually published without adding me onto it, which I did help her a whole lot. And after the publication, she came back, and she was apologizing. I'm like, no, it's fine. It's your work. The thing is, the where you don't want your supervisors to be part of your publication, it actually would determine the kind of support they are going to provide. Because we, as your supervisor, for example, we are to support you through the thesis process, not the whole PhD process, all the way to you writing your thesis and the rest of that, but not to publish. So you asking them to join in publishing with you means that it's going to be extra, because your thesis is not what you actually publish. Is, I mean, especially if you've done PhD by thesis, you're not necessarily going to pull out chapter 2, for example, your literature review, and dump it into a journal, dump it to submit to a journal. You would actually have to work on it again. There's some review that you would have to do. We talked about structure of articles. You would have to write it to meet the requirements of the journal and the rest of that, and they support you through that process. And for example, currently I was saying that I'm part of editor of one special issue with a journal, and so they have actually given me about five publication free of charge, and their publication fee is about £2,000, right? So they've given five of them for me to publish. So if I have a student that I feel his our research is around that area, I could actually give that as an opportunity for the person to publish. So you do get some, not some, you do get a lot of benefits. I mean, why would you not even publish with your supervisors? I mean, you have a lot to gain than mm, not publishing with them. And obviously, if there's a very valid reason why you don't want to publish with them, that's your. Sometimes you do have that, because I'm saying this because I do know that in Nigeria context, I'm not trying to be in some, but in Nigeria context or some African context, you do have some times where supervisors take over and even publish a student's research, and that's not appropriate. That is unethical. That shouldn't be done. But where you have the right to select the authors to be on your manuscript, it will be advisable if you have your supervisors on it. Definitely after your name, you should be the first author. It is your work. You have to take the credit on that part, and then they can come after you as however you want to have them. I also tweeted, I am the third supervisor to a PhD student, and it seems I do more of supporting her than her first. And she messaged me and she said, Fola, I want to add your name as my second. My first supervisor is not happy because she wants to be the first. And I told the student, I said, well, I don't really mind whatever you want to do. I'm fine with wherever you put my name. And she submitted the article, and it came. The journal got back and said, you know, this article have been submitted, and I saw my name was the second, and I thought, wow, this girl still went ahead to have me as second because she felt I've done more towards that manuscript than her first author. So the decision should be yours in terms of who comes where and how. Obviously, it should be who has contributed and at what value have they added to that manuscript, and that should actually be the main thing that helps you decide who stays in what position. And really, once you start publishing, it doesn't really matter, except if you're, I mean, that's how I see it, except if you're the first author. That definitely does matter because it feels like you've done the whole work, but everything else can just, I mean, I have Pramod has left because he had to go and do some things. But I remember when I was publishing in Beaumont University with Pramod, we have this professor, Edwin. Edwin would always be in any and every of our paper. As we are writing, we finish writing it, Edwin will be the last person to review it before we send it to a journal. And so Edwin is more he's always happy to be the last. His name has never, like, he's always happy to be the last on our paper. And it works out that way. He doesn't mind being the last. He's published well enough to be hungry to be what, second or third. He doesn't need that. So you just try and publish with other authors is really good. It helps you, especially if you can publish professionally. So different profession, different departments, or different area of research. That will really help you as well. Okay, so I'm just going to stop it there. Anyone have question? I can see quite a few people on the stage. I'm not sure in what order. So if you do have a question, can you have your hand up or something? No one have a question. Okay, so because I have a lot of requests, and I was. Okay, I think, like I said, if you have a question, it would be nice to just have your hand up, so it helps. Um, Fisaha,
Yes, thank you for preparing this space. It really helps for beginners in the master's program. So I'm a master program student, and I don't have this publication experience. So it's really helps a lot. Really thankful for following you and preparing this kind of space. And I have two questions related to the publication process. The first one is how long does it can take to publish in open source papers? And secondly, do we have to really include the supervisor that helped us in the bachelor thesis in the process of publication, and do we have to consult for professors that are being helping us right now? For example, the professors teaching in given courses or advisors in the current program. Thank you.
thank you so much for those questions. Really nice, and I think other people will probably get value from it. So the first one, if I can try and attempt it, is you said something around how long does it take to publish in open access? Well, that really depends on the journal. Is that what you asked? Sorry, can I clarify? Yep. Okay. So that really depends on the journal. Open access, there are two things. Do you remember we talked about some journal that they will put an embargo sort of on your publication and people can't read it because you haven't paid open access? Sometimes they would actually do that for a certain number of years. Sometimes they put it for 2 years, whatever, depending on their policy, and after that they open it up. So that can, roughly, you could say, for example, maybe 2 years, because they first of all lock it for some time, is under that embargo, like I said, and then after certain years they open it up. So that might be one. Roughly you would say it takes as long as the journal, depending on the journal that you've published, as long as they want to keep it before opening it up. But the other one is that the open access journals, where you're publishing directly straight to open access. So that one, the process is normal process where you submit an article, reviewers review it. Once that if you have corrections or amendments, you amend it, they look at it again, they are happy with your amendments, and they publish it. So within that, depending on the length of the journal, it might take, for example, say maybe 3 months, 6 months, or less than. It all depends on the journal. And I think nowadays that we now have online publication, it makes it is now a bit more faster. So sometimes, depending on when you are able to address the reviewers' comments, you may have your article published maybe weeks after, 2 weeks, or even less than, online, and then you may have a printed version maybe a bit later. So it just depends, really. It depends on the journal, and depends on the rate at which they are working, and depends on if you have reviewers comments, how you're able fast enough to review, address the comments, and have it published. I think the second question was about if you need to add your supervisors as an
Yes.
author. Okay, thank you. So I think that was the last thing I actually spoke about before calling you to speak, in the fact that you don't necessarily need to have your supervisor. I mean, first of all, I think, just to say, it depends on the policy of your university or the institution that you currently at, because some institutions have different policies. Like I said, the current institution that I'm working at, we are actually asked to sit with the student and ask their view. How do they want their thesis, their manuscript to be published? Before we even start the project at all, you are asked. So it depends on your choice. If you've chosen, oh, I want you people to also support me with my publication, then that means you'll be adding us as authors. But where you're like, no, I'm happy, I just want to have this work done, I'll find a way to publish it myself, we would not have anything to do with the publication, and nothing like we there's no penalty against it. It's just your choice in that sense. Now, where a university expects you to publish with your supervisor, they will probably state it clearly, or you ask them. For me, for example, when I did my masters, I published my masters. However, when I was going through the process, it was my first publication. I had no idea. I had to learn. My supervisors didn't really help, and they didn't really help. They didn't really contribute. Even when I sent them the drafts, they didn't even review it. It's like they didn't. So I just, after waiting for some time, sending reminder, I didn't really get response. I thought, okay, I'm just gonna have to do this myself, and I did, and thankfully I got it published. But just from it was my own decision. I could have taken them off the article, but I still decided to, still keep them on it. Now, one thing I would also say is, where you want to publish, for example, you want to submit an article, maybe you've done it, sorry, submit a manuscript, maybe you've done it a while ago. Try and always message your supervisor to let them know you want to submit their name as part of, the team of authors on your article. The reason is, most of the journals, they would actually send an email to alert the person that they have been added as co-author on a submission. And where they are not happy, or they don't, it depends, is their name. They can choose. They can be like, well, yeah, I know you want to publish, but I'm not interested in having my name with you. So you have to get their permission to an extent, or let them know that this is what you intend to do before you actually submit as well. So just to add that, I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to add, of any of the speakers, or
Thank you, Professor Dr. Fola.
Thank you. Dr. Olu. Oh, I mute myself. Dr. Olu, please.
Yes. I think I'm very quiet listener. Yeah, I've been listening, and very, very valuable information, because learning and all the rest of them. So what I just want to quickly do is to respond to, I think it was Adejumo, I'm not sure, or Ibrahim. I think it's around the question with respect to side. So the long and short of it is that side is illegal. It doesn't rule out the fact. If you know the story of Sci-Hawk, how it came up, it was more of a rebellion to say, okay, you can keep intellectual information within the confined place. You have to make it open. You have to make it accessible. And I'll tell you for a fact that there are so many other sites like that even after a while, when the traffic becomes a little bit high, it gets blocked, and all the rest of them. And the reason why I know it, just because of my curiosity. And I'll tell you for a fact that up until now, throughout my postgraduate degree, up until now, there is not a single time that I struggle to get an article. And I'll give you just a couple of hacks here. Number one, whatever article you're looking for, that article has got the email address of the corresponding author. There is no corresponding author that you send an email to, a carefully, well-structured email, telling them about how good, the article was, and how most important, going to contribute to your own research area of interest, and that you will appreciate a copy. It's a win-win situation. The author or the corresponding author will be more than happy to send you the copy of that article. That's hack number one. For example, another hack is the fact that you've got friends in other places. Every single country that scholarship or research visit are taking me to, I create academic friends. And as such, if I'm struggling to get an article in South Africa, for example, I send it to some of my friends in other places that I've been to. I said, dude, please, can you get me this article? And I'll get it. Number three, your faculty librarian, where we have it here in Ghana, should be your best friend. You shouldn't be struggling to get an article. So there are a couple of things that you can always do to get access to some of these and I know it's kind of a little bit out of the scope of the conversation, but I'm just letting you know that you have more than enough option, outside of going to some of these places. On this Twitter alone, I've created some kind of friendship that just out of, let me just put it out there. My mom was 70 years, and it was one of the guys that I met here on Twitter, amazing fellow, that I had to call and say, please, can you do me a favor? Can you go get this thing and get this thing? It's been sent to this place. Can you go get it and just, deliver it to... I didn't even tell him my mom was celebrating her birthday yesterday. And guess what? He got there, you took pictures, send it to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, dude. I see you are having a nice time. Why am I saying this? You create credible friendship. You nurture your friendship. I'll be quite shocked that, not necessarily quite shocked. The kind of people you meet on this platform, the kind of people you interact with, you can latch on and leverage on their experience, their expertise, how to benefit from it, and all the rest of them. That's how you build your network. And in the case of academics now, because you know that you are already not in the position to access most of these articles, then be conscious of any environment or platform where you find yourself and nurture the kind of friendship that will help you towards your... Okay, so I think that's just where I would like to tackle this. With respect to the question that Dr. Fula has brilliantly responded to, especially around the journals, how frequently, how you should, in terms of publishing and all the truth is you have to do your homework. And Dr. Fula mentioned that when she was referring to Abraham, when Abraham was talking about collaborations, Dr. Tio and all the rest. And that was why I was, because the thing is, as brilliant, as beautiful as some of the conversation, discourse we are having here, look, if you reach out to me and I'm not seeing you pulling your socks or whatever you want to pull, I have no time. My days are literally completely filled. Even if it's not filled, I still need time to rest. So you must do the homework. You must know what journal you want to publish. You must know the frequency of publication in the journal. You must know the established authorities that are published in the journal. You must position yourself where you are seeking opportunity for collaboration. So these are some of the things you have to do. The other question that, sorry if I mispronounce your name, asks is, it comes within the context of academic politics. You have to navigate that and make sure you don't put your biggest thing to me. But it doesn't mean that you have you on a chokehold or something like that. But you want to navigate that terrain in such a way where it still works in your favor, and there's a way you can do that. Letting your supervisor know that you want to collaborate or you are seeking additional opportunities to develop yourself is key. I always tell postgraduate students this thing. One of the first meetings you have with your supervisor, and I like the fact that Dr. Bala mentioned the university policy in the UK, but even if it's not, one of the first meetings you have with your supervisor is to talk about everything, including publication, how the names will appear, so that from the word go, everybody knows what he or she should be doing, and then there will not be a misguided kind of falsehood expectation, both on your side as then and side of the supervisor. And when those objectives are set right from the onset, it just makes everything to fall into place. Even if they don't work out exactly the way it is being planned, at least there's a plan in place. There's an opportunity for modification, there's an opportunity to retweak it. And things will just work out well. Like I just this is a lot of me.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. Fabulous addition there. Thank you. Marvin? Marvin? Okay, maybe Marvin is. Ajileye?
Yeah, very much for the talks this morning. You have answered two of my questions, that regarding the supervisor and that regarding tie up. But the final one, I would just want you to elaborate, expatiate more on the true predatory journal. Very many of us are not really very clear about this, and we get emails sometimes from some of these journals, some journals that we are not sure of, academia.com, and we are not sure how okay
Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'm not sure I was hearing some. Okay. Right. So, when it comes to, first of all, once you publish your first article, I think it was Aaron that published then, and I was celebrating, and I said, well, now your inbox will be filled with predatory journal request, and he said no, I've already started having that because I've published before. I'm like, okay, okay, that's nice to know. Yes, once you start publishing, these predatory journals would jump at you. They will come with to first of try and be very careful with them. Most of them are interested in collecting your publication fee. Literally, that's what they mostly are interested in. Anything else is, yeah. And if you publish in those places, sometimes it's not, I mean, people can see it. They already know this is a predatory journal and they are just there to, collect your money. So for me, if you see a request, first of all, try and check, is this one of the, reputable journals that are out there in terms of the name? There are some, depending on your field, there are some within my field that once I see their name, I'm very comfortable because I know them. If you're not, obviously I don't expect you know all the journals in your field. It might be too many to keep tab on. But if you're not sure, try and check the just Google it. Google the journal. Their pages can be very funny. I don't know how of it. I guess they are not really investing much in terms of their website. Their website page can be quite funny in terms of, you will look at the main thing they literally flash in front of you is mostly the journal fee, the publication fee. So when you're seeing the publication fee as the main thing, you should be very careful with it. Some of them, well, they don't really have, I'm not going to say one particular location, but some of them come from some areas of parts of the world that you already can tell, okay, this is probably too fishy. And if you many of them, they will send you impact factor. They will say 5 impact or 5.7 or 5 whatever impact factor in is a Google Scholar. That is absolutely not that's an indication, sorry, that's an indication that that is a predatory journal, because where you have a 5 point something or even higher impact factor of a journal, you would definitely be able to easily, one, see them when you search them on Google, and then two, you would be able to, you would have come across their work. And when you look at the articles that they publish, that can also be an indication, because where you're seeing they are publishing different types of articles, because you would see that they are pretty much interested in the money rather than the type of journal, the type of articles they publish. So, and a journal that is publishing different areas of anything goes, they are just taking all in, that tells you that it's also a predatory journal. But like I said, the main thing about predatory journal is that they do want your money, and the requirements for publication is very low. And that's why some for example, if you submit it to university or an organization as part of your publication, they don't really take it seriously because it's obvious this is a predatory journal. So the requirements, the rigor that is expected of um peer review process is not there, because these people just really literally need your money. And so I would advise that you should try and check around some of these things I've pointed out that might help you. I might have missed one or two things in terms of how you can identify them, but for me, the primary one is the money. The fact that from the I get a lot of requests, and from they will just they send an email and say, we would like you to to contribute to our publication or our special issue or whatever coming next month. The deadline is in the next 1 week. Who writes an article, except if I've already had a plan of writing an article prior, who writes an article within a week? So already that tells you this is shaky. A reputable journal would not send you requests to even publish with them, except maybe you're part of their maybe reviewer board and they want you to, or you're such a big deal within your field that they want you to write an editorial or something like that. So once you're even seeing a request, that's already putting you on an alert that this might be predatory journal. And I think sometimes they try and their fee are not that high compared to the more reputable journals. Their fee is not that high, so you're having, they will put it, some of them will be like maybe $500 compared to where you're paying $2,000 or more, right? So that would also tempt you to maybe want to consider them. But for example, within UK, if you want to request funding for publication and they would ask you to submit the journal name and everything, the librarian from the university will check. If it's a predatory journal, they will probably not fund it, because when I was doing my PhD, I had a lot of requests for university to fund my publication. They would check the name, they would ask you to write the name and all the information about the journal that they need. They will go and check, and if it's predatory, they will not fund that research, or sorry, that publication. So it's just to look into some of these things and try and as much as possible avoid them if you are not comfortable, especially with the fact that this might be predatory in terms of their aim and objective is just to collect your money. So just to put that there. I'm not sure if I've answered the question entirely, or if there's any part that I've left out and you want to
Thank you
mention
very
here.
much. You have done that.
Thank you. Marvin, are you with us? Because you've got your hand up. Okay, I think Marvin is probably having issue with his internet or something. Right. Dr. Olu, yes, please. I'm not sure. Dr. Olu, we can't. Okay, yes, please go on.
Yeah, but thank you very much, Dr. Bola. I just want to add on to some of the stories about predatory journal. If you look at the cons in terms of the disadvantages, the disadvantages are just too enormous. For instance, it doesn't speak. Let me not even go so deep. The fact that you have taken so much time to conduct the research, to come up with your findings, to put them together, and almost as if you destroyed your own work with your own hand. The Yoruba boy don't say it in Yoruba. Do you understand? So, and that is the frustrating part for me to say, why would you want to shortchange yourself? Why would you want to not do some of your background check with respect to avoiding, taking your own hard work to a place where it's not being recognized? So that in itself is one of the disadvantages for me. It's one of the cons of predatory journal. The other thing is that it also doesn't speak so well of you that you are not familiar with the fakes, or if I may put it, the counterfeit in your own space, in your own field. So if you are a postgrad student, and honestly speaking, there are so many things that postgraduate degree will not teach you. Let's even go to the basics of what your supervisor will not do for you. If he or she do those things, count yourself extremely lucky. Okay, so that also spilled into the whole idea of predatory journal. Because if you are conducting research, if you are a postgrad student, there are things you must be able to know, to say, I know. It's like when you say in the court of law, ignorance is not an excuse.
So you cannot claim to be ignorant and say, "Oh, I didn't know it's a predatory journal." No, do your homework. You rest assured that for every original thing out there, there's a counterfeit. So you don't want to fall and become, you don't want to become one of the statistics of a counterfeit, because by and large, number one, if you're looking at, pursuing your career as a researcher, working in academia, some of these things, especially within the context of predatory journal, they will come back to bite you. You want to get promoted. How? With predatory journal? Yeah. Except maybe you are in some part of the world where it is probably being celebrated or being accepted as the norm. But if you want to consider yourself to be within the global community of scholars, where you will hold your head up and be able to open your mouth and say things, and they know that you are an authority in that field, then predatory journal is not something you want to consider. Yes, it comes with the advantage. You want to say that, look, I mean, it makes my life easier. I mean, I can publish easily within 2 weeks, within 3 weeks at most. You submit, they don't even send it back to say, okay, the reviewer said this. I remember there was an article about a professor, I think here in Cape Town, if I'm not mistaken, that the predatory journal was basically asking him to come public. And they call you all kind of sweet names. In fact, they call you Professor Emeritus. They have all those beautiful things they call you. And come to think of it, any credible journal, if it's quality, they will not be the one to come for you. They will be the one to go to them to say, guys, this is what I have to offer. So the same thing with predatory journal. Unfortunately, with predatory journal, it's not like that. They will be the one begging you to say, come publish with us. If you are that good, I will be the one to find you. I'll be the one to see you. I will be the one to run after you. I want to work with you. There is nowhere. Let's look at it at the surface level. Abraham was, reaching out to Dr. Theo. There's no way Dr. Theo will come on this platform like that and say, "I'm looking for a collaboration." No, you will listen to him and say, "You know, I think I need to go after that fish." That's the way it works. Let's just put it in a very simple, relatable way. That's the way it works. So the fact that you are not taking conscious effort to find out, to know about predatory journal is also another form of laxity. It doesn't work. It doesn't speak well of you as a postgrad student. So you must always do your homework and know the pitfalls to avoid. Know the areas that you will never, for any reason whatsoever, consider to be an option. And I'm so emphatic about this predatory journal because by and large, and the reason why I'm saying this is especially for as many scholarship applicants out there. You're applying for scholarship, and in your CV, the publications that are there from predatory journal, I promise you, nobody is going to look at your CV. I promise you that. Take it anywhere and say, "Dr. Olu said this." Because the moment they see that you are publishing in predatory journal, that's already a complete, it's not even a no, it's a never. That's just the point. So you want to guide against all of those things, by all means possible. I can go on and on, but let me just use the mic right now. Thank you. This is Olu, and I'm speaking.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. Absolute intense take on predatory journal. I think as academics, you are just like, you cringe when you hear about predatory journal, like, how? No, don't do that. No, 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 no. That's not where you should put it. So try to be very careful where you put your hard labor that you have done on your research. I mean, if you've done a good job, which I believe you would have tried your best to do, then be confident enough to try out all these well reputable journals and try to avoid predatory journal. And like Dr. Olu said, especially for those of us that are thinking of funding scholarship, where you're piling up predatory journal publication on your CV, they might just that might even work against you rather than for you. Like we are saying about publishing, it helps you with your funding seeking. But if it's not where they expect you to be, and they are just like, you just pay to have your articles, through predatory journal published, it's not, this is definitely not well peer reviewed, the process is not. So that might even act against you, and so you need to be very careful in that regard. I think I mean, Marvin, you still got your hand up, but I'm not sure you're with us. So if you are, then you can take the floor. No? Okay then. Housing studies.
Yeah, I just want to add to what Dr. Holu has said. I think it's just spot on. I will keep emphasizing this because, when as a researcher you want to publish, it's best to publish among fellow elites that are working on current debates. So what most journals look at is the impact and the kind of how important is that your article is in the current debate in that specific field. So you and in that sense, I won't advise anyone to just go to any our journal in the name of oh, I want to publish or I want to just put my name out there. You must make sure that where you are sending your article for publication is a reputable journal, so to speak, that has a kind of So this is just it. The professors in your institutions, that's where they publish, and basically we all know one another, right? So I can basically look at maybe Dr. Fola and look at what she has said and try to connect that to several other researchers across the globe that are doing similar things with us. So it's like we know who is who in the industry. And because of that, I won't advise you to go and publish outside that kind of environment, because by the time we see that kind of publication or your name, we know, oh, this kind of person is like is an outsider, so to speak. So I will just advise you to just stick to the rules and make sure that you go for, even though it's going to cost you, you go for journals that are kind of reputable, and make sure that even the kind of publication you are submitting is recent, in the sense that it appeals to recent debates, it appeals to different discussion in that your field. And like I said earlier, these editors, they are also researchers as well, and they know virtually what you are discussing about, even the trend of new debates. So it's going to be like on a good side if you kind of reach out to those journals, starting from your institution. Reach out to some of those institutions. They have a kind of open journals, even access to researchers to publish for free, like Dr. Fola said the other time. Some of them can sponsor you and pay for your publications. Just make sure you get it right from the onset, so that you won't have trouble when it's time for you to make use of it.
Okay, thank you so very much. Dr. Olu, you got something to add?
Yes. One other thing that I just want to add before I keep quiet for now. When it comes to research, it's my passion. It's something that I breathe, that I sleep, all every day. Now, looking at the title of this Twitter space, the question, the title is how to publish, and I just want to mention some very few practical steps. Number one, when you're doing your homework with respect to the potential journal titles where you can publish your work, when you have finally settled to select the potential journal titles where you can publish your work, number two, look at the scope of those journal titles. Number three, look at the frequency in terms of publications in those journal titles. Then do some very, very serious groundwork. What do I mean by that? Randomly pick 2, 3, 5, even 10 articles from these journal titles and come through how information is being presented in the serial order. Now, you will be shocked that some of these journals, some of them will tell you their abstract should not be more than 150 words. Others will tell you it should not be more than 200 words. Another one will tell you it should not be more than 300 words. God help you.
to think that you will use one default structure of abstract across board for all the journal titles you have selected. So all of these things, you don't want to irritate editors, because sometimes your manuscript does not even go beyond the editor's desk, because they are looking, if simple instruction you cannot follow, how are we sure that you have actually abided by all of the instructions in preparing this manuscript? So you want to sit down and come through all of the prerequisites, the criteria that have been set by each of these journals, such that when you are sending your article, you have crossed all the T's and dotted the I's. That's points. That's another point. One more thing that I just want to mention with respect to randomly selecting articles, I want to see how articles are being structured. I will tell you to a large extent that by default, all journal scholarly written articles are structured the same way. The author will always, from the overall problem, the specific problem, to the limitations of previous research, the objective of this, and going on and on like that, even up until result and discussion. You want to give your account of all the consistent observations, account of non-consistent observations, discuss around it what probably be going on there. So, but you want to take time to see that this place that I want to put my leg into, that I want to gain access to, that I want to show them the world, how do they do things there? They say when you get to follow the rules. The rules are there to guide you, not to discourage you, not to frustrate you, to make you better. Thank you. You're the man.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. Really nice take on that. Professor Sunit?
Hi, Fola. Am I audible to you? Hello. Am I audible to you?
Are you where, sir?
Yeah. So, first of all, I am thankful to you that you have raised a very important point and organized this space, which I normally don't see in Twitter spaces. So, yes, I have few points to share here. Like, as you said, and you are talking about this, predatory journals. So, predatory journals have become a very big industry nowadays, and they are taking the advantage of research scholars, scientists who are desperate to get their data out of their lab, whether it is up to the mark or not. So what happens? Normally this is easy way to get published, but you don't know whatever you are publishing, whether it is one. Second, if it has not been properly peer reviewed, then if another person cannot repeat the sets of the experiment which you have published in such kind of journals, those kind of publications don't make any sense. And currently, I think most of you will be receiving emails at least 10 or 15 in a day, and they invite you to write a review article, or even some of them say that you share your thesis and they will convert it into the research paper. And this is something very difficult for me to understand what kind of this, cheating going on. Another issue which I would like to add, yes, what pushes the research scholars and scientific community to fall in the trap of predatory journal? Because nowadays there are multiple open access journals. and they charge huge amount of money on the name of publication charge, processing charge, this and that. So if laboratory is not well funded, then it becomes very difficult for an investigator to bear the charges of the publication. Then he or she tries, to publish it anywhere. So what happens? These so-called, new predatory journals, they take advantage of that. But as our, one of the previous speakers, I think Mr. Olu was very nicely, talking about it, I would again say there are very many free access well-established journals from reputed publication houses available. Only you have to find it out that what are those journals, whether the finding of your work is going to match with the scope of those journals. And I think it's better to get published in a kind of reputed journal of your field rather than publishing anywhere just for the namesake. And I think if you do that and you submit your biodata for any job, then serious committee members who believe in serious kind of science, when they see the name of those journals, they realize it's a kind of easy way of publishing, and your chances of getting success might be reduced. So it's always good to try to publish in the established journal where peer review process is really strong, by which we scientists also can get some lesson. If there is a wrong, if there is some analysis we need to do some additional experiments. Now in these predatory journals, they would never ask you to do any additional experiment, this and that, because they are sitting hungry to get anything on the name of publication. So these are the points which I wanted to share with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Sunit. I mean, this is all that we've been talking about in terms of the fact that sometimes it doesn't help. In fact, it can be a disadvantage you trying to publish and just publish anywhere. In as much as we encourage you publish, try and make sure it is those you're publishing in those journals that are well established, they are reputable, and they go through the scientific rigor of peer reviewing and then approving your article for publication. Thank you so very much. I had in my DM, someone sent me a message about how can he's concerned on how can he do a novel research. So a research that is original, that is, and also valuable. So this person is confused on how can he go about doing an original type of research that will really contribute to knowledge. Just to say that, I mean, I can't remember the person's field, but just to say very quickly that for you to contribute an original work of knowledge, you would have to first look at what are the things, or what are the type of work that is already on ground, that is done in that your area of interest. I think you can do anyone can do a novel research, and that's what we even expect of you. You should do something that contributes to knowledge, not replicate or repeat what has already been done. So a good way to start, sometimes the way we get inspiration for research it depends. Sometimes you're talking to someone and that inspires you. Sometimes you yourself experience something, depending on your field, you experience something and that inspires you. But whatever way, or you then, obviously the last one is maybe you read it in a paper. Whatever way you have managed to get your inspiration for your research, always go to the literature before you start anything. Go to the, oh, I'm thinking of this, what is in the literature, review literature as much as possible. See that there is a gap. Dr. Olu was talking about earlier. Any and every article would have limitation or future research recommendation in their in the article. So review those and see, oh, this aspect that I'm actually thinking about, okay, I've seen one, two, three, several papers that are recommending future or further research in this area. Maybe I can take this on. If you do that properly, you would actually be coming out with something that is not being done before. So that makes your work as novel as it can be in that sense. So whatever, I mean, like I said, I can't remember your field, but whatever your field is, excuse me, try and first do thorough review of the literature. What is in the literature before you go ahead to start anything, because that is what would help you in distinguishing your research from what is already being done. Thank you very much. Anybody? I'm seeing young Alaj. Have you got a question for us, or unknown specimen? Both of you guys just requested to come up on stage. So have you got questions about publication?
Thank you very much, Doctor. I'm having questions, I think one to two questions. But I would like to introduce myself first. I'm a final year student of bachelor, which is a degree in Nigeria. That's my first degree in Nigeria, and I'm going with a CGP of 4.1 right now. So I'm trying to start my project, and then we are on strike right now. But I was advised, I think, last 2 weeks to 3 weeks on publications, and then I was advised to make sure that my project is publicable. I should publish it. You understand? So my question here is that what do I really need to look in publishing it? As in, should I publish it in my university, or should go to other university professors or international publication or something like that? That's the question I want to ask.
Thank you. I'm going to say a bit on that question, and if any of our speakers want to add to it, please feel free to do so. So first of all, well done on your results so far. I mean it shows that you have been taking your studies seriously, and you've been putting effort. So just continue to put the effort. I know there's strike going on, but hopefully once you guys resume back, you would probably or most likely round up your program. So well done, and just keep pushing to the end. When it comes to publication, we've said it on this stage that within this space that it is very, very advisable you publish, but you need to know where you're publishing and the whole conversation around predatory journal, which we've talked about. So we're not going to go into that. Now, your question is, how do you go about publishing? I think the long and short length of the answer that I would like to give is that the higher the reputation of the journal you're going to publish in, the better for your research, right? So you're asked about your university. If you publish within your university, maybe a journal within your university, or you publish in another university's journal, or you publish in international journal. Obviously, the international journal will be the best bet, because that is where you would have that exposure that you need for your work. But obviously, but also keep in mind that for such journals, especially those international journals that really, really, they go through a lot of rigor. There's really intense review process that you have to go through for them to accept your article for publication. And that really, I mean, if you can get your work to be published in them, I would say go for those. That's the first one I would suggest. But where for whatever reason, maybe they are not waiving publication fee for LMIC and or some things like that, you want to try your university, I wouldn't say don't do that, but I would always say try and aim for the highest, or aim high. If it doesn't work out, then maybe go to your university. I'm not sure if that adds to what you've asked. Yes, please, Professor Sunit.
Yeah. So I think Pula answered most the stuff. just I want to add here, uh, bachelor's student and doing some project. So I would like to suggest you first your discussion should be your principal investigator or supervisor, because this is the project which probably could have been assigned by him to you. So he should be in a better position to tell you that what is your data and where can it be pushed for publication. And as Fola said, if the findings are quite very, very novel, then it can fly to international journals having a high impact factor. But if it is not that way, probably he can suggest you some university or other better journals. And it's also advisable here that being a bachelor student, it is always required whenever you submit that manuscript, please, that has to go through probably your supervisor, because this is something which you have done under the supervision of your supervisor. Because I have seen the cases where students directly communicate and then they write the name of their bosses, and bosses don't have any information whether the manuscript has been submitted or not, and then several controversies start. So it's always better to discuss this before submitting it anywhere with your supervisor. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Prof. Sunit. I do agree. Yes. Especially as someone in Nigeria, I think your supervisors do have a lot to say about where you publish and where, the data you use and the rest of that. I mean, here in the UK it's not as strict, like I said earlier, depending on the conversation or the agreement you've had. Sometimes you can get away with making some decision, but I think I do agree with Dr. Sunit in terms of in Nigeria, your supervisor have a lot to do with where you publish. So having, first of all, having a very good relationship with them would help, and also having them direct you in what is best based on the finding you have in the journal, in the manuscript. Is your finding more valuable to local consumption, or is it more of international consumption? Obviously, if they review or if they assess it and they believe this is actually very valuable for local consumption, let's put it in this journal. That might be the way to go. So having that conversation, I said to someone earlier, the fact that you should always do your homework. So it's not just your supervisor say go here and you're going. You should also do your homework, have some knowledge of what is being discussed, so that you can always also add. For example, if you're thinking of a different journal, you can also suggest, well, how about this journal, and you guys have a very productive discussion on which is best. So it's not I've been on I think I was speaking to, was it a PhD student? I can't remember. And there was a decision the person made as part of their PhD, right? I think they used one method, and I was like, why did you use this? Just having a conversation. And the person was like, yeah, my supervisor asked, she really insisted I did it. I use that. And I'm like, yeah, don't say this in your examination. If you're in your Viva and you say something like this, you're going to be in big trouble, because you have to have a valid scientific reason for whatever decision you make. So in the same vein, try and know about some of these things, different journals, why are they, so that when you discuss with your supervisor, you can have it's not just, oh, she asked me to push it in that journal. No, it's because you have alongside her or him, you guys have reviewed the different journals, and you've come to a conclusion that this is probably the best place to put your article. So please do continue to work on your project. I believe that's what you say you're doing, and have that published. Is really going to be valuable for you. There's no need not like there's no need. You want to pass and finish your BSc program, but it's also a very good addition if you can have your work published rather than just have it sit on one desk after you finish your program. Thank you. Okay. I have few requests. I'm just gonna add that. Thank you for the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very good. Thank you very much.
Fab, thank you. Adesonya, yes. Do you want to take the floor? Thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to contribute to the question.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes, we
I
can.
hear you.
Yes, thank you.
So, my own contribution is hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Mukuhuli, sorry if I didn't pronounce that well. Can you just give a few minutes? Let Adesonya ask his question and then we'll come to yours. Can you give us a few minutes?
Can you hear me, please?
We can, but can you give us a few minutes so that we respond to the person asking? I'm trying to mute you, you're unmuting yourself. Can you give us a few minutes to ask question? If you want to ask question, please have your hand up. Then I can go by the order of hands raised up. Thank you. Adesonya, please, would you mind continuing?
Yes, thank you very much. I don't have question to ask. I just want to contribute to the last speaker. The last speaker that asked the question about is willing to want to publish whether to publish in a school journal or in an international journal. Based on the response I've had, I think a lot of things has been said about that, but I just want to add my own contribution. As an undergraduate, I think the best thing is to first speak to the supervisor, because from my knowledge in Nigeria, most of the time the supervisor give a student the project topic they are supposed to work on. While some we ask the student, but it's very few. Majority of them we give and impose. Sometimes they impose it that this is what we are going to do. In that case, he has to discuss with the supervisor. This is what I want to do. And then I intend to publish this work so that from then the supervisor will be aware that, oh, this person is willing to publish. Then if they want to publish, that means it will be we give a lot of time to do a quality work. Because if you are willing to publish in an international journal, you need to do a quality work. So what I would suggest is that you need to make a discussion with the supervisor. You need to know where the supervisor has been publishing. Is it the person that is publishing in the local journals or in an international journal? So you need to be aware of all those things. And then he also need to, if it will demand him to stay back after the project, because the final project is a bit short. If he demands that after doing his work, his project and in defense, and the work is not that quality enough to be published in an international journal, he can stay back and work and say, I can work with you for this so time before I go for my NYC, and then have the quality work, and then from then you can publish it in an international journal. That's my own contribution.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, very helpful, and I believe he would have one or two things to take away from that. Can I ask Aliyu? I can't see the other person. He's gone now. Network maybe. Aliyu, have you got a question? You requested to come on stage very quickly. We've actually been going at this for over 3 hours, and I want to appreciate everyone, but I think if we can quickly finish up with the questions. Aliyu? Okay, no. Is there any?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good day to you all. It's been a wonderful session. Though I joined in late, I don't know if my question is already answered. I came to realize that journals are categorized into 4 percentile quarters, right? I just want to know, like, what is the numeric value of those
journals, the category, and how can I know which one is the best where I can publish my article there? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that question. So obviously, journals are, I think it for my field, we normally work with impact factor, but I think it's sort of like the same in terms of the Q1 and Q2 and the rest are also 1 star, 2 star, and 3 star journal. The higher the or the lower the star, the better. Meaning that means they are of high reputable quality. The research they publish is of high quality compared to so if you publish in a sorry, did I say the higher the better? Yeah. So if you publish in a 3 star journal, is better than if you publish in a 1 star, for example. And we have something in the UK, something called the ref. So the ref is part of what we sort of like use to base, some I know, yeah, there are some what's it called now? Some funding that are based on how what type of what quality of research are you guys pushing out? Is it internationally reputable? Is it just nationally, or even is maybe just locally, right? So we try and publish in those if you manage to publish in those high reputable journal, you would also have your research identified as maybe internationally renowned type of research. So 3 star would or 4 star as well would definitely be more encouraged. So the higher it is, but I would say it's not just only about the stars or the impact factor or whatever else. There are other things. I think Dr. Teo was the one that was talking about the fact that there are other aspects of a journal that you have to look up. You have to consider before you think of publishing with them, and so adding that to everything else would be quite helpful in deciding which journal you would like to publish in. I could see Professor Sunitis want to add something, so please go on. Sir.
Yeah, yeah. Just to a little bit add what Ibafola said. Impact factors are important, but one thing you have to be very sure. Nowadays, these predatory journals are generating their whatever self-proclaimed impact factors, which have no basis, and they will write on the cover page of journals X5, 8, whatsoever. So I would say it's also a good way to see whether those journals are on Web of Science or those are the Scopus list. These are the platforms which will take care of and include only kind of reputed journals or journals having a standing in the field. So yes, impact factors are important, but you need to see whether those journals are having their names in the domain of Scopus or Web of Science, and the impact factor, whatever they are talking about, that is also reflecting over there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Sunit. Yes, something to keep in mind. It's not just impact factor. It is quite important, but that's not just the only thing you should consider. Silas, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dr. Fuller. Good afternoon from Barcelona. I have just one question. Question is, what's your take on institutionally based journals? Yes, journals that are institutionally based, not particularly run by a publisher, but run by the institution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we mentioned very briefly earlier about journals that are institutional based journals. So obviously those journals, they are journals that are by scholars or lecturers or professors within the university that have seen a gap in terms of publication and have decided to come together and organize such a journal. The thing with that is that I mean, within UK context, there's really no difference. There are some high impact journals that are university based, and before you even get your article published in them, it goes through a lot of rigor. So although we try and say look for journal, I think it was, no, it wasn't Aliu. There was someone we were responding to, and we're telling him about publishing in journals within his university or other university or even international. Some of these, for UK context, some of these journals are actually internationally reputable and they are high quality journals. So it just depends really which journal you would want. Most institutionally based, they would, especially if it's within your institution, it will most likely be free for you to publish in them. And so for me, I would say if the journal is high reputable and the quality is high and is within my university, I wouldn't have a problem publishing in it, compared to if it's, an independent journal, as the case may be. So try and just review the quality of the research that are being published within that journal. There are some journals, obviously, journal is a progression. It takes years sometimes to get that reputation. They start. But one thing with institutional based journals is that usually because there are authors, researchers that are working, reviewing your article, doing the whole administrative aspect of it. Most time they don't just take any article. It's not predatory in terms of they just want to publish for the sake of publishing. They still go through that rigor, the process of establishing that you have done something valuable to be published. But it's just that, especially if it's just new in terms of starting it might not necessarily have that high reputation that you may expect of it, because they are just starting maybe a year or less than, and so they might not necessarily have that a high impact factor or whatever you may want to call it. But it doesn't mean that they are not rigor. The rigor is not there for you to actually know that this is something that they have put effort in before accepting an article and before publishing an article. And I would say it's probably safer compared to some independent and possibly predatory type of journals that doesn't really have any institution affiliation attached to it. That can even be more dangerous. So I still would not have a problem publishing in a university journal if it is, in my area of research, and if it's the best one that I can come up with at the time. If it's better than any other independent journal, I would definitely not have problem publishing in a university-based journal. Really.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question or comments? Can I ask that, please, everyone that have joined us, please, I would like to request that you appreciate our speakers. It's been hours and hours that we've been here. Try and follow them. Ask question where possible. If they can respond to you, I'm sure they will. My inbox is actually open for now, but just for this space, but I might close it because I have loads of questions. I can't even finish them.
Good day, everyone.
When I request you, it would be nice if you can I
to the organizers of this space.
Wow. Can you just when I request you, you will be accept your request. It would be nice if you let me call you up before but you have been trying to ask your or comment or something. So please just go on. Let me not delay you any further. Okay, now, okay. Can you go on? Mukuli, sorry about that. Can you ask or comment? All right. So this is the thing. He's been trying, but it just is gone. Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, every person on stage, I mean our guest speakers and those that have just been generous enough with their time. Dr. Olu is in the audience right now, but Dr. Olu has been dropping and dropping and dropping so very so valuable information around publishing, around journals, and everything else that we've talked about today. So please do try and appreciate them, give them a follow. If you have useful question that can be answered by us, drop it either in the in inbox, or you drop it, on timeline, and we can address them. I think everyone here are well published authors, and that's why we sort of like, I'm not going to say we are the best, the best, but we sort of know a bit more about this side of things than so we may be able to add one or two takes on it. And I tweet a lot around all this, studying abroad, especially for international students, because I do feel like international students, we are doing well. I'm not going to say no, but we are not doing enough. I go to class, and most of my international students, they are doing brilliantly well in class, but they are just not, it's not translating into, I don't know how to put it, like the effort is not translating into results that you would want to see. And we need to really try and put out this information, help ourselves. We really, just push that narrative that international students are not just filling spaces in class. They are also authors, they are publishers, they are innovators, they are researchers, they are everything and more within the space of academia and even outside academia. So that's hopefully the aim of some of these spaces, to encourage you to see people like us and realize, oh, if A and B is doing this, I can even do beyond that. So if you have anything you've written, you're not sure, your research you've done, put it out there, publish it, send it to authors. It does feel good though. On a lighter note, it does feel a lot. It feels really good when you see your name, especially the first few publications. You'll be like, oh my God, is this my work? So yeah, I think that's part of the reward. Sorry, I've been talking about Silas, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Fuller, for what you're doing. Yeah, I just want to state that anybody interested in anybody in the field of media communication, cultural studies, humanity, they can reach out to me. At least I know a lot of free, reputable, institutional-based journal they can send their article to. It's free, totally free.
Wow, thank you so much for that, Silas. I think that's one of the things that our international colleagues, in terms of postgraduate applicants, or grad school applicants, really struggle with, in terms of, I don't have money and I'm supposed to, publish this thing. How do I go about it? So please hit up Silas in DM or on TL, and ask about some of these journals that he can direct you to. We've talked on this space about some strategies that you can use to actually avoid, or to maybe not avoid, but to go around getting fee waivers from some of these journal, where you can then publish, especially if you're in low income classified country, to an extent, where you can get fee waiver. Imagine you as a student being asked to pay £2,000, or 1,005, or such a high fee. It's a lot of money, but there are ways to go around it. So don't let that discourage you from attempting to publish what you have. You probably have something golden that the whole research community is waiting on, and you just getting discouraged because the fee is too high. That might not be good. So look at ways. We have shared a lot of them on this space, on how you can get away with not necessarily paying fee. And now Silas has added some journals that are free, open access, and you can definitely approach him for that. Dr. Olu, thank you.
I think what I want to say is just a little bit of the kind of an add-on to all that we've been doing today. But now, one of the things that I'm so passionate about is knowledge enhancement, knowledge capacity building within the context of postgraduate students. And so I have this research family meeting that I host every week on Fridays at 9 p.m. at African Standard Time. And just to give you an overview, since somewhere around 2021, I have been doing this consistently. And one of the things that we're doing recently is to take us to some of the very critical processes. This is of research.
I've done quite an extensive series on research proposal. I've done quite an extensive series on literature review where I've touched on so many critical points with respect to some of these things. I'm currently running a series of thesis chapter. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this because you need to know how all of these things fit into one box. There is no way, because it's a totally different ballgame. Publishing is a totally different ballgame. Some of the things you get away with successfully in your research thesis or in the thesis, so to say, you cannot get away with them when it comes to publishing. And let me just give you a very interesting analogy here. You've got maybe something like a 4,000 square feet land, and because of the limitation of your resources, now you are only able to put a granny flat on it. Think of that as your research proposal, where because of the fact that the resources are not readily available, you're putting a granny flat. Then, all of a sudden, boom, there's resources. You have more than enough money, which is more like your thesis now, where you're blowing up all the various sections to become a thesis chapter. What happens now? You are expanding that granny flat into multiple rooms. But again, you don't necessarily have the freedom to expand it such that you eat up almost all of the 4,000 square feet land, because you're mindful of the fact that I want a garden in this area, I want a play area in this area, and all the rest of them. Then, boom, another thing happened. You discover that, oh, you know what? This house is too big. The kids are grown up, they are all living. I need to downsize. Then you're saying, okay, I want to. So the process of research is very interesting. At one point, you are given the limitation of not more than 12 pages, including a reference. Compress your thesis, chapter 1 to 4, for instance, into a document of 15 pages. At another point, you're given the leeway, not necessarily an unlimited freedom, but you're told, okay, go write the report in form of a thesis. Then you're back to almost the default of what the proposal looked like in where you're preparing your manuscript. So when you look carefully at how these phases unfold, it just lets you realize and appreciate the fact that you need to develop your skill set around all of these phases, because by extension, whatever skill set you develop when you are writing your proposal, it transcends into writing your thesis chapter. Whatever skill set you develop when writing your thesis chapter, it now transcends into developing your writing your manuscript. And all of these things, they have a way of connecting together. But like I always say, you will always have my best wishes. So yeah, if you're more than happy to join the research family meeting, we gather on Twitter every Friday, South African Standard Time at 9 p.m. This is only one I'm just.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. And just to follow up, I think I'm part of the family. Am I? So,
of course, yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. I do try and join. Immediately I see Dr. Olu's space on, I'm like, oops, okay. Postgraduate research information is on, and I have to join and listen, take away from a lot of what he has to offer. So thank you so much for continuously doing that for our postgraduate researchers. Professor Sunit, thank you.
Yeah, just to add further what Dr. said, and you guys are doing great job, Dr. Olu and Dr. Fola, and I would be more than happy to share my experience and knowledge with all investors who are trying to publish by joining your platform. Whenever you organize this event, just let know. And second thing which I would like to add here, I am deputy editor of Class Neglected Tropical Diseases. I am a editorial member of Nature Scientific Reports. I am associate editor of Frontiers Virology. So if you guys are having any issue, even in writing or even in developing a theme how to proceed further for research, I will be more than happy to share my knowledge. Love when you get anything out of it and build up your career for the entire scientific globe. Thank you.
Whoa, thank you so much, Prof. Very, 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 very appreciative of that. We would hopefully be happy to have you around us, have you encourage us, have you motivate us, and everybody else that is on this platform. So very, very much appreciate it. Thank you. Right. So I think for now we have gone about an hour half, an hour, 3 hours half. So I want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Olu, Dr. Tio. You guys started from the start with me on this platform, this space. Silas, Professor Sunit, and everybody else that have spoken. We had Professor Dr. Pramod, who was here. Dr. Pramod was here through for a very long time before he left. Dr. Yakubu and everybody else. Please, like I said, if you're in the audience and you're really happy with what we've discussed, we will try and be doing this as regularly as possible. Dr. Olu have mentioned he does this every Friday, and I try and join. I try to put mine somewhere in the weekend, Saturday or Sunday. All of this information are just to help ourselves. When I was doing my PhD, I really wished I had these platforms ongoing. There was not even the Twitter space when I did my PhD, but it would have been lovely and it would have really helped me if I had some of these opportunities that are available now. Because I mean, I'm literally sitting in my room and I can get information from where South Africa, from somewhere in Asia, from South, UK, from Barcelona. I mean, how easy can it get for you to access valuable information nowadays? And even within this space, we've actually had people make connections with some of our esteemed guest speakers. And so it's just a win-win. So please do try and put the effort in. For those that are interested in funding, you can't get funding. In fact, you can't get anything without putting effort in. So you are making yourself available to all this information, you are gathering them, you are using them. That's how you will get those things that you want. I am looking for funding, I'm also still looking for connections. And so it's never finishing. There's not a time where you're like, well, I'm done. No, you would always have to push yourself, pursue the next aim and goal that you should have, whatever journey that you're on. So I just want to say that in terms of wrapping this up and appreciating everyone on stage, please, like I did say, follow the speakers. You could see what valuable information have been given. Sometimes you may not see them again outside the space because you may not get to meet them. Why not link up and hold that connection so that you know this person who's dropped a lot of information, very valuable information. I can still, find a way to stay connected to whatever they have to say and hopefully get more information and value from their contribution as well. Thank you so very much to everybody. Really appreciate your contribution, your time, the questions that have come in. I appreciate those questions. They are helpful because there are some parts of this discussion that we didn't even remember to add on. Some of your questions actually help us to explore different parts that we may not have thought of exploring. So thanks a lot for all of that. So I would say do have a great weekend, whatever is left of it, and have a great week ahead for next week as well. Do have bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fola.
Thank you, Dr. Olu. Thank you, everybody. Silas.
Thank you, Dr. Fola.
Thank you, Professor Sunit. We appreciate your time. We didn't even request you to join, but you did. We appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. Okay, we are done. So, hi everyone. I try and go live on my space and also on YouTube. So, and that's why I've been live for like 3 hours and a half. We have gone through not all, but most of conversation, really useful conversation around international students and publishing. how can you publish, what are the things you should consider, what are the things that you may not be aware of that you need to be aware of as a published author or potentially published author working towards your first publication as an international student. So I do hope you found value in all the information we gave, and I do hope you find value in the questions that have been asked as well. So this is just to really share my appreciation to everyone, for those that join on YouTube or for those that will be watching this after now, because I'm going to leave it on this platform and hopefully you will still get something valuable from it. And yeah, so thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you in another space, which would probably come up next weekend. Bye bye.